Boy, ang pangunahing problema ng bansa upang mapagtuunan ng pansin at mabigyan ng solusyon.
We should have specific goals, do research, and make a policy that is fair for everyone.
Walang problema sa pulisiya. Iayos lang ang pagpapatupad.
Bago patubas ang batas, pag-aralan muna gusto ng government.
Two things, clarity and execution. Both, you need the communication and monitoring. As simple as that.
Mandato ng Philippine Institute for Development Studies o PIDS na gumawa ng mga pag-aaral at pananaliksik ng mga polisiya at programa ng pamahalaan at magbigay ng rekomendasyon sa mga mambabatas sa pagbabalangkas ng mga polisiyang makakatulong sa ating bansa. Sinusulong ng aming ahensya ang evidence-based policy making upang bigyan diin ang kahalagahan ng polisiya na batay sa datos at policy research na sumusuri sa tunay na kalagayan ng ating mga komunidad. Napakahalaga ng policy research, lalo na sa mga panahong dumadaan sa krisis ang ating bansa.
Kapag pulisiya ay pinag-aralan, susulong ang bayan!
In need of references for your research? Do you want a digital library that you can access for free anytime and anywhere? You don't have to look far. SERP-P is here for you. SERP-P is an online database of socio-economic materials produced by the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, government agencies, research and academic institutions, and international organizations based in the Philippines. It is the country's first online repository of socio-economic information, created for policymakers and development practitioners, researchers, educators, and students. To access SERP-P, just visit the PIDS website and click the SERP-P widget under the Databases tab, or type serp-p.pids.gov.ph. SERP-P has a wide variety of materials such as journal articles, books, research papers, working papers, policy notes, audiovisual materials, and more. As of 2022, SERP-P has more than 60 partner institutions contributing knowledge resources to the database. SERP-P provides a comprehensive coverage of references encompassing 22 research themes: labor and education, gender and development, poverty, technology and innovation, trade and industry, and many more. On the enhanced website of SERP-P, you can filter your research by keyword or author, publication type, research theme, or year published, all at the same time. SERP-P has more than 7,000 publications and audiovisual materials that you can access and download for free. What are you waiting for? Visit SERP-P now. Socio-Economic Research Portal for the Philippines, innovating knowledge exchange and policy research.
So what is PIDS? For over 40 years, the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, or PIDS, has been the country's foremost socio-economic think tank. It conducts rigorous and objective policy research and analyses that help the government in crafting relevant policies, plans, and programs in support of the country's long-term vision and development goals. PIDS pursues its mandate through three basic programs: research, dissemination, and outreach. Through its research program, PIDS identifies and prioritizes studies, develops proposals, and conducts research on priority areas. The results of these studies are then disseminated through different platforms, publications, online resources, PIDS Corner, seminars, and the Development Policy Research Month, or DPRM, held every September. To shed light on key policy issues, the advice and expertise of the Institute's research fellows are also sought by policymakers, government agencies, private sector, and civil society. Since 1977, PIDS has completed numerous policy studies on a wide range of development topics. This brand of service has then translated to policies and programs that have improved the lives of every Filipino. Philippine Institute for Development Studies. Service through policy research.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2023 SERP-P Network Annual Symposium and meeting with the team Trends in Innovation in Knowledge Dissemination. We are thrilled to have you here for this insightful and engaging event made possible by the Socio-Economic Research Portal for the Philippines, or SERP-P, and the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. I am Ezekiel Nicomedes, the SERP-P Project Coordinator, and I am honored to be your host for this afternoon. SERP-P is an initiative of PIDS that served 22 years ago to serve a common link between the government and research institutions and establish an open access repository of socio-economic information. And we are proud to say that SERP-P is the country's first online repository of socio-economic information. And currently, SERP-P network has more than 60 partner institutions, mostly from the government and academe, bonded by a shared passion for research, knowledge, and exchange. This effort is to help with partner institution to disseminate their knowledge outputs, strengthen research networking within the network, and promote SERP-P as a platform for evidence-based discussion of current and emerging development issues. The morning session will provide an overview of the latest and relevant topics that hold potential significance to the organizations and SERP-P. And then the afternoon session aims to strengthen information dissemination efforts, review and discuss SERP-P issues and developments, and plan future directions with our partner institution. To formally open our event and offer us a glimpse into the topic that lie ahead, let us listen to the opening remarks of Dr. Aniceto Orbeta Jr., the PIDS President.
So, good morning to everyone. Babalik tayo sa Manila time. And our valued partners in the Socio-Economic Research Portal of the Philippines. I am very pleased to open the 2023 SERP-P Network Annual Symposium and Meeting. And pleasant morning also to our online viewers on the PIDS and SERP-P Facebook pages. So it was, I think the delay was because this is also simultaneously broadcasted online. I'm very happy to see everyone in person today. Our last face-to-face network meeting was in 2019. So a couple of years back. And pandemic, hopefully, at the PIDS conference hall. We transitioned to the virtual meeting when COVID-19 started. Now that the office operations are back face-to-face, we are ready to interact and exchange ideas in person again. I think you will agree with me that face-to-face communications remains superior to virtual communication in terms of ensuring clarity of the message, building trust and having personal touch and promoting interest and engagement. The theme of our event, Trends and Innovations in Knowledge Dissemination, aligns closely with the interest of all SERP members, given our engagement in both creation and distribution of knowledge. The knowledge landscape has undergone significant transformations since the emergence of the knowledge economy in the 1990s. During this period, knowledge began to be recognized as a crucial catalyst for generating new ideas, innovation, and competitive edge. This era of underscored the importance of persistently generating and sharing knowledge and ensuring its effective application. The fourth industrial revolution characterized by many disruptive technologies such as big data and connectivity, analytics, human-machine interactions, has significantly reshaped the knowledge landscape. Data information are readily available in this era, enhancing decision-making and operational efficiency across various sectors, including government, business, healthcare, and education. However, this revolution in knowledge is a double-edged sword. The proliferation of misinformation or fake news has become alarmingly common, posing a serious threat to society. In this context, distinguishing between real and alternative facts has become a critical challenge in our knowledge environment. Recognizing this reality is essential in leveraging the fourth industrial revolution to our benefit. In this morning's seminar, our invited speakers will share their experiences and insights on leveraging digital innovations, including artificial intelligence, in knowledge dissemination and utilization while managing the risks simultaneously. Ms. Pinky Serafika, Senior Communications Officer of the Asian Development Bank, will discuss using digital tools to effective public communication of research and other knowledge outputs. Meanwhile, Ms. Mary Claire Mercado, copy editor and consultant of the CNN Philippines, will provide her insights into the discipline of media relations and how it has evolved with rapid advances in society and technology. Finally, Dr. Peter C., an associate professor at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, will tackle the opportunities and threats presented by artificial intelligence to research institutions. On behalf of the SERP-P team and the entire SERP-P network, I thank you for accepting our invitation. For the afternoon, yes, you can clap, of course, to express your appreciation to our invited guests. Yeah. For the afternoon session, we will have an annual meeting of the SERP-P network with the accomplishments of the 2023 and the previous years and the learnings from the morning session as a guide and inspiration. We will plan as a group on how to enhance further the SERP-P as a knowledge dissemination and networking platform. We will also recognize our most active partners in 2023. This early, allow me to thank all of you for your recommendations and congratulate our most active partners for their accomplishments. I'm very proud of what SERP-P has achieved in the last 23 years. I like to remind myself that I was one of the original authors of this. I was still a fellow when we thought about this, when we converted, when PIDS was trying to make our outputs electronic and share it in the web. SERP-P is one of the product of that visionary effort from the PIDS in 1990s, essentially. So that's I'm very proud of what SERP-P has become, and maybe grow old satisfied that there's one that has outgrown me by age and effectivity. PIDS owes SERP-P's success to you all, of course, our partners, because without you continued support, we would not have sustained and expanded SERP-P. Thanks to all of you, and what started as an online database has evolved into a network of institutions with shared passion for knowledge generation and exchange, adaptable to change and resilient to uncertainty. I still remember Freddie reminded me that he cannot forget me saying that when we produce the CD, CD of PIDS publications, because the function of PIDS is to disseminate our commitment. That's why all our researches website and hindi ko na matandaan ba natandaan ni Freddy na sabi na I encourage piracy CD. You can copy as many as you want. Yun yung hindi niya matandaan. So that's the nature of PIDS. Our job is to inform the public, and we don't even want to do a research we cannot publish and share, because that's the nature of our institution. And thank you for joining us in that effort of widely disseminating knowledge, and that's produced by our institutions, which is sometimes relegated into the shelves. We should not be doing that. We should disseminate as fast as possible everything that we produce, so that there will be an exchange of information and knowledge. So let me thank the SERP-P team, of course, Dr. Siar and Mr. Siki Nicomedis. Hope you're in the right time zone now, for their dedication and hard work in making SERP-P reach greater heights. Thank you very much for your presence today. I wish you all a productive day and many more years of fruitful partnership with SERP-P. I'm sorry I missed the presentation, but there is a recording of this. That's done. All the public presentation of PIDS is in the YouTube channel of PIDS. So I always, everything that I miss, I listen through. That's how useful to me the YouTube channel, Sheila. Because I have to make a presentation. I'm sorry, I have to make a presentations at 10 o'clock in another meeting. I'll be back in the afternoon. Thank you. Back to Shiki.
Thank you, Dr. Beta. Stand up. And then, come near po. Yung mga nasa likod po, forward lang po tayo. Okay? Pag-guide na lang po, Ate G, ang mga nasa likod. Pa-forward sila. Mirror po. Yan. Closer po. So, dahil di na po tayo kasya sa isang room lamang, so, yung photographer na po ang nasa stage para mag-take ng picture. Yes. Okay? Come near po. Lapit pa po kayo na dyan sa likod. Okay. Yes. Ayan, makikita po. Sige po. Double time po tayo. Baliktad po, ang photographer na po ang nasa stage because ang laki na po ng SERP-P network. Okay? Okay. Okay, sir, your cue. Ayan. Ate G, pag-guide na lang pa-forward sila. Okay. Sige po, double time. Okay. Okay. Sige. Okay. Let's try. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Last one. Okay, wave lang po. Last wave in 1, Okay, smile and wave in 1, 2, 3, go! Wave! Okay. Happy birthday! Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Arbeta. See you later. Thank you, everyone. Kindly settle down and we will start our presentation. Okay. Okay. Kindly settle down. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Arbeta, for giving your opening remarks. But before we officially start our presentation, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our partner institutions. Pag tinawag po ang inyong organization, kindly stand up na lang po para ma-acknowledge natin. Our participants from the Action for Economic Reforms. Anyone? Yes, ma'am. Good morning po. Stand up po tayo. Miss Jessica, right? Hi, good morning, President Jessica Reyes Cantos. Good morning po. Okay, and from Agricultural Credit and Policy Council, stand up please. Good morning po. From AIM Government, Jose B. Fernandez Jr., Center for Sustainable Finance. Good morning, ma'am, Miss Johnny. And from Ateneo School of Government, Ateneo de Manila University. Good morning, Bea. And of course, from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Sir Ferdinand Co. And from the Bureau of Customs, Sir Francis Aquino. Ay, lumabas lang po yata si Sir. But from Central Philippine University, Miss Pelenia and Miss Ligaya. Good morning po. And from the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department, Sir Novel and colleagues, sir. Ay, good morning po, sir. And from the Development Academy of the Philippines, Sir Emmanuel. Yun, andyan po sila, ang ating mga kasamahan sa DAP. And from the DLSU Jesse M. Robredo Institute of Governance, Miss Jessa and Benz, good morning. And from DLSU Social Development Research Center, Miss Kathy po ba natin? Ay, good morning, ma'am. And from the Foreign Service Institute, Mr. Kadikbak and Mr. Borla, good morning. And from the Mariano Marcos State University, good morning po, Miss Pamit and Miss Leia. And from the National Economic and Development Authority, Cordillera Administrative Region, Miss Marisa, good morning. And from NEDA Region 1, Miss Inere, good morning po sa atin. And from NEDA Regional Office 3, Sir Mr. Emmanuel Purzuelo and Miss Jesus. Magandang umaga. It's nice to see you. And from NEDA Calabarzon, Miss Mary Dimple and Miss Lopez. Magandang umaga. And from NEDA Region 8, Miss Giselle Zeta. Good morning po. And from NEDA Regional Office 9, Miss Daryl Cabico. Good morning, Miss Daryl. And from NEDA Region 12, Miss Myra Saho. Magandang umaga. And from our representatives from the National Tax Research Center. Good morning po. Magandang umaga. From PhilExport and from the Philippine Statistics Authority. Nandito po ba? From PSA? Okay, good morning, ma'am. And from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, doon sa may bandang doon. Magandang umaga. And from SIMIO Regional Center for Educational Innovation and Technology, or SIMIO Inotech. Magandang umaga po. From the SIARCA Regional Center, from SIARCA po, Representative Ms. Mina. Magandang umaga. From the Senate Economic Planning Office, or SEPO. Anyone? Good morning, ma'am. And from Silliman University, Dr. Oracion and Miss Dinoy, magandang umaga po sa atin. And from University of San Carlos, Miss Berdin and Miss Garcia, magandang umaga. Pasensya na, iniisa-isa natin to dahil effort ang mag-event ng isang network activity. So kailangan natin i-acknowledge isa-isa dahil ang nagsusustain ng ating network ay tayong lahat. Okay? Going back from UP Center for Integrative and Development Studies, magandang umaga, sir. And from UP National Center for Transportation Studies, Si Sir Julius, nandito ba? And from UP School of Economics, Mr. Dairit. Nandito po ba si Mr. Dairit? Okay. And lastly, from the UP School, from UP School of Urban and Regional Planning. Hi, sir. Hi, ma'am. And lastly, from Miss Maren of UPLB Center for Strategic Planning and Policy Studies. Magandang umaga, Miss Maren. Okay, so thank you everyone for participating in this network meeting. Now let's proceed to our presentations. Our first presenter will share her experience and expertise in using digital tools for effective public communication of research and other knowledge outputs. Our first speaker is a practitioner of development communication, behavior change communication, and stakeholder participation in international development projects for the last 3 decades. She specializes in managing strategic communication processes, training and facilitation, and multi-stakeholder engagement. More recently, she has successfully incorporated human-centered design, or IT4D, IT for Development and Public Good, and differentiated approaches for populations in fragile and conflict-afflicted situations. A former multimedia journalist, she has led the production of knowledge products and developed in-depth and investigative stories on various themes for different sectors. Currently, she's a senior communications officer of the Asian Development Bank. Let's give her a warm round of applause to Miss Pinky Serafica.
The pandemic really forced everyone to think out of the box, to go out of our usual business as usual thinking and evolve very quickly. In ADB, before we design a project, we do extensive due diligence work. I can hear myself now. My echo. Ayan. Technology, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I was not able to turn it off. Yeah. So as I was saying, in Asian Development Bank, before we even design a project, we do extensive baselining, we do social impact assessments, sectoral assessments, stakeholders mapping, and consultations. We do this and a variety of communication research. Now, I'm gone. All right, better? All right. So as I was saying, in ADB, we conduct a variety of communication research because we make sure that the inputs of our stakeholders, particularly the potentially affected communities, are taken into consideration so that we are able to customize the projects according to their needs, their preferences, and we'd also like to get broad community support. I've heard that there are people from the Cordilleras, so there are special safeguards, we call them, to get free, prior, and informed consent whenever projects are in IP areas or would affect indigenous peoples, but I will not go into that in detail. So in 2020, the project team of which I am part was doing due diligence work in Hunan. This is a province in South Central China, particularly in Shangtan City. So this was for a project called Low Carbon Development Program. It's pretty long, but essentially the government of Shangtan wanted this highly polluted and polluting city to shift to a more climate resilient, a livable city with very low carbon use. However, COVID struck. So we had to do internal reckoning among ourselves. Do we stop the project? We stop operations entirely? Or do we go out of the box and try to think of ways to still continue on with our due diligence work in another way? The behavior communication research we wanted to do but was got got delayed because of the pandemic, wanted to find out from the 2.8 million residents of Sangtan, we wanted to find out their energy use, we wanted to find out their transportation modes, and we also wanted to find out their preferred ways of communication so that they would be able to feed us their comments, their feedback, and their grievances, if any, so we will be able to reach each other better using two-way communication channels. However, with the lockdown, the traffic, in a highly polluting city, I call it, the traffic shifted to the online highway. And again, we had to take this into consideration. Initial mapping showed that a huge percent, 98%, of the 2.8 million residents of Sangtan are online. And so we had to think about this. We said, okay, is it possible to conduct meaningful consultations online using WeChat, Sina Weibo, Tenen QQ, and Xiaohongshu, which are already very popularly used in Shanghai? Is it possible to conduct meaningful consultations using these online platforms? If yes, then what safeguards can be installed so that we are still able to get the data we need, but still be within and practice the rigors of data collection? We still ensure that there is data quality. Next slide, please. And these were our insights, and I'd like to go through them one by one. So there is an old adage among development workers and activists even, as well as those in government, to start where people are, to go where people are. So if they are online, then we engage them there. The key to engagement is finding a mutual engagement platform, and that was what we needed to do. The second insight was, conducting online communication processes and research is easier, frankly, is easier and less time-consuming than face-to-face process. However, we needed to be very conscious of representation and inclusivity. Safeguards are needed because, as you know, online platforms, they straddle the real, the not so real, and the entirely made up. Online personas, we see them all the time, the influencers with their filters. Online personas may be masking the demographic that we really wanted to reach. The online personas can profess that they are this, but they are not. So we needed to verify the gender, the age, the socio-economic status, ethnicity, the digital literacy, and accessibility to the internet and other online devices of our targeted respondents. We also needed to verify whether the indigenous peoples already in the city, the Miao and the Tuhia, had online access, had enough online gear to be able to access the platforms, and were digitally literate. Number 3, how did we do it? We used existing baselines to find out where the respondents are, particularly the respondents that we were looking for, but I will go through that in detail later. The fourth insight is we needed to choose a user-friendly platform or app that is already being used. Why is this? Earlier feasibility studies show that when you develop a new app, it's super expensive. It's so very costly. It does not end there. Development of a new app or a platform is one thing. Educating people to use the app is another thing, and promoting the app is yet another thing. So we had to find a platform that is already popular and being used with very good maneuverability functions. However, we also needed to be assured that there is solid data quality, accuracy, reliability, validity must be there, and that the server also adhered to ethical to ethical protocols of data collection. We hired a local team, a local Chinese team called Hunan Innovative Low Carbon Development Center. They are a third-party entity to assist our social researchers in putting all those questionnaires and instruments into an online platform. So they were the ones who considered all the other existing platforms and finally decided on Wen Huang Xing. I don't know whether I pronounced that right. It's Wen Huang Xing. This is a popular online survey application already being used widely in China, particularly in Shangtan. And the best part of it was that it could be customized for the use of the project. The app could be accessed through iOS and Android operated phones. And also, it allowed us to use combinations of multiple choice questions with drop-down menus, fill in the blank functions, scoring functions, whatever. So we had full use of the app's functions. Also, there is a link and a QR generated, which was then sent to the 400 respondents to regulate access to the platform and also ensure data privacy. The link and the QR code were then sent via WeChat for easier access so that the respondents would not have to go out of WeChat. You know how you do it sometimes, right? You go out of a certain app to go to another app. So we used WeChat so that they will not be obliged to download the Wen Huang Xing app already. Close to everyone in China uses WeChat for practically everything. They use WeChat for telecoms, for social media, for wallets, for their financial transactions, even as IDs. So using WeChat as the promotional dissemination platform, as well as the linking platform to the survey app, was a very good idea. The fifth and the last insight is that however high-tech we can get, we needed a human component to build trust. I heard Dr. Orbeta say that, and I fully agree. You know, we invest, us in the social research world, we heavily invest in building rapport with our respondents, right? So in a pure online platform, that is missing. For China and for this particular project, we had to put in that element. To get authentic answers, the respondents needed to trust the process and the platform, who is giving them the link, how the data will be collected from them, and how the results will be used. But imagine a lockdown. How in the world can you use humans in a lockdown? So we tapped the only people who were allowed to go out during the lockdown. And these were 24, the Chinese call them 24 focal persons from the community bureaus. They were already being tasked to check on the people, particularly the vulnerable residents of Shangtan. And so we tapped them because we were already engaging with them to build a basic demographic profile. So this demographic profile was the same profile we used to be able to verify who the respondents were, the stakeholders that we wanted to reach, and they came up with the 400 respondents. They used WeChat again to randomly validate the list of the respondents but scrubbing the names, the socio-economic, some basic information that did not need to be there. They were also able to assign codes to aid in the analysis so that the answers given cannot be traced back to the respondents, particularly as there were fill-in-the-blank questions asking them about current feedback with the traffic situation, with energy use, et cetera, et cetera. And so we wanted them to have full reign and provide candid, authentic answers to the questions. I wanted to tell you the story about how ADB also use chatbots for survivors of domestic violence in Mongolia, which we are now going to use in Cambodia. But I felt that I lacked the time. I thought I was just going to give you a 5-minuter. It turned out it was a 30-minuter. I was not reading Zeke's instructions, so I apologize. I also wanted to tell you the story about how we use participatory story making and storytelling among the Dumagats for the Angat Water Improvement Project, where we put body cameras on the Dumagats so that they are able to tell their stories themselves. We are in the belief that who tells the stories and how they are told is key to getting authentic answers. But I will just tell those stories maybe in another time or maybe later on during the exchanges. So in summary, online platforms can be a force for good. We can use digital technologies to work and to make us do better work. However, meticulous attention to processes, to context, to principles of representation and inclusivity need to be planned very well. Maraming salamat. Looking forward to sharing insights with you.
Hello. Thank you so much, Ms. Pinky Serafica, for presenting her presentation titled Leveraging Digital Innovations for Research Communication. Now, I would like to request lang po ang ating technical team to transfer the projector sa middle para mas makita po ng lahat, no? Okay, so while they fix po ang ating projector, allow me to introduce our second presenter. For our second presentation, we have invited a media practitioner to help our partners in engaging with the media and the public to disseminate their knowledge outputs. Her expertise will provide our partners with valuable insights into how gatekeepers publish or broadcast content, thus enabling the participants to approach the media strategically. Our second presenter is an editor with 16 years of experience in journalism and broadcasting. She has joined CNN Philippines, Philippine Star, Media Times, and the Manila Bulletin. She also edited the book Flowers of the Philippines, a selection of botanical illustration, published by Gentry Press Philippines for the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity through the Small Grants Program, a joint initiative with the government of Germany through KfW Development Bank. Her skills and interests are news writing, feature writing, copy editing, agriculture journalism, media literacy, critical discourse analysis of journalistic texts, and political economy of mass media. Let's give a warm round of applause to Ms. Mary Claire Mercado. Mary?
So good morning. Thanks for inviting me. I will share tips how to pitch information to the media. So sana makatulong. But we have to put things into context. So para natin malaman kung bakit ganun, para natin maintindihan yung function ng media, sa kung paano nyo paano maging strategic yung pitching nyo ng information sa media. So yung first part, tayo pong gumana na. Next slide na lang. Okay. So, yung first part ng presentation is, i-discuss ko muna sa inyo ano yung newsroom setup and operation for background. Naririnig po? Hindi. Okay. Ano po ba?
Mic check. Ayan.
So, ayun. So, as I was saying, so yung first part ng presentation, for context and background, so i-discuss ko muna sa inyo, ano yung newsroom setup and operation para maintindihan nyo gaano ba paano ba pinipili? Saka gaano kahaba yung proseso? Gaano kabilis yung proseso? Mahaba tapos mabilis. So medyo mahirap mag-pitch. And then sa part 2 is magsasuggest ako sa inyo nung mga bagay na pwede niyong gawin, sana makatulong. So next slide po. So start tayo sa newspaper. So bago ako lumipat sa broadcasting and digital media, mas matagal po ako sa newspaper. So for 10 years yata. So ang newspaper, gumagana siya, kumukuha siya ng information through the beat system. Ano po yung beat system? Yun po yung practice na nagpapadala po ang media organization ng reporter sa bawat ahensya ng gobyerno. So merong reporter sa Malacanang, sa Senate, sa DOJ. So lahat, yun yung traditional setup. Tapos, yung mga reporter po na yun, meron silang manager o yung kumbaga parang nag-organize, nakikipag-coordinate sa kanila at saka doon sa mga ahensya na kino-cover nila. Like for example, you're a Malacanang reporter, hindi ka basta-basta pupunta doon. So meron niyang proseso. Meron po yung dumadaan niya sa parang accreditation process, tapos yung tao na magde-designate sa'yo doon, yun yung chief of reporters sa ibang organization. Ang tawag doon is yung news editor, minsan managing editor. So kung ano man yung designation, basta yung trabaho ng tao na yun is to organize, coordinate dun sa ahensya ng mga sa ahensya na kino-cover ng reporters, at sila din yung immediate superior ng reporters. So ano pa ba yung ibang ginagawa ng taong yon? So mahalaga yung position na yon kasi siya rin yung kumukuha ng advisory o yung pitches ng mga reporters. So for example, we have 20 reporters na nagkalat sa iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno. Lahat sila minimum of 3 stories per day yung kailangan i-produce. So lahat yun, bago nila gawin yung story na yun, gagawa sila ng advisory o yung pitches, yung mga one-liner, one sentence, one paragraph. Ipapadala nila yun sa desk, ikukolekta yun ng aming editorial assistant, ibibigay yun sa kanilang superior. So, i-organize po yun based on topics. Like for example, merong batas tungkol sa agriculture development na na-file sa House. Ang magiging proseso nun ay yung reporter na nasa House, sa kanya yung main story. Halimbawa, may reaction yung Malacanang. Halimbawa, isa-certify siya sinasuggest na ipapa-certify as urgent sa Pangulo. So, gagawa ng story yung Malacanang reporter. And then, pwede ring utusan nung chief of reporters or nung news editor, yung tao sa Senate who get decide, for example, of the Senate President. Will they file the same measure? Yun. Tapos, pwede rin namang gumawa ng story, yung tungkol sa reaction ng farmers, yung aming agriculture journalist. So yung apat na reporters na yun, nakakala sa iba't ibang ahensya, magpapadala yun ng story, i-collate, i-group, magiging isa. So yun yung magiging produkto nun. So lalabas po yun dun sa, next slide po, sa tinatawag naming coverage notes. So yung coverage notes, siya yung listahan ng mga stories base doon sa advisories na binibigay ng reporter. So, naka-organize siya. So, pag na-organize na yon, pagdating sa hapon, magkakaroon ng editorial meeting, pagpipilian na ng mga editors, ano yung mga stories na nakuha ng reporter. So, ganun gumagana yung beat system. So, ito, na-discuss ko na pala ito kanina. So, halimbawa, napili na nila ano yung mga stories, nagkaroon ng editorial meeting, napili na ng mga editors, alin yung mga stories sa front page, alin yung sa second page, lahat yun planado. Kapag natukay na nila yon, ibibigay yon sa mga copy editors. Minsan, ang tawag sa kanila, sub-editors or desk editors, i-edit namin yon. So, kanina yung example ko, 4 na story, gagawin ko yung isa. So, ibig sabihin, as a gatekeeper, pipiliin ko ngayon yun, nasa akin yung task. Ano ba yung mga information dito? Baka may pare-pareho. O kaya may iba naman, hindi naman mahalaga. So, kung mapapansin nyo, di ba, parang ang haba na nung proseso. Pero kahit mahaba yan, mabilis yung trabaho. So medyo mahirap talagang mag-pitch sa media. Next slide po. Okay. So kanina sabi ko, yung mga reporters, kino-collecta yung nag-gather nila through pitches. Ipe-present sa editor-in-chief or sa mga top editors. Ito yung baliktad na proseso. Kasi yung kanina sa main news section. Paano yung ibang sections? Kasi meron tayong sports, meron tayong entertainment, meron tayong science section. baliktad yung mangyayari. Yung editors noon, sila, may mga pagkakataon na sila yung nagpipitch para ilagay sa main section. Like for example, yung business desk. Ano yung mga stories na pang business pero hindi nilalagay sa business page? Nilalagay sa front page. For example, dyan inflation, national debt, new loans from lending institutions, may bago bang PPE project, may utang na naman ba tayo sa China, yung gano'n, unemployment, poverty, yung mga survey stories. So nilalagay yan lahat sa front page. Minsan naman sa sports, kung halimbawa may malaking event sa sports, nilalagay sa front page. So ganun yung proseso kung paano nabubuo, kung paano na-determine yung gatekeepers, ano yung lalamanin ng bawat pahina ng dyaryo. Next slide po. Punta naman tayo sa digital news media. Next slide po. So, ang digital newsroom media, yung in many ways, merong silang similarities ng print. So, meron din yung mga section. So, imbis na pahina, pupunta ka dun sa webpage nung ano man yung section na gusto mong basahin. Pero, ang pinagkaiba niya, kung ang newspaper, lahat ng reporters nasa beat. Pag ang online media kasi, hindi lahat ng reporters nagko-cover sa beat. So meron dalawang klase ng writers. One is yung beat reporters at yung online writers na office-based at kumukuha sila ng information sa website, sa social media, media briefings via Zoom, katulad nito. Sa Zoom, pwede yun nilang i-access to Facebook Live. Tapos nakikinig din sila sa radio programs and then sa television shows ng network. Like for example, yung 24 oras. So, pag may-ari siya ng GMA. So, merong mga online writers ang GMA na kung merong magandang story sa 24 oras, ano yun, broadcast medium yun, gagawan nila ng digital version. So, hindi kailangan mag-cover nung writer na yun. Meron din namang mga writer na naghahanap ng research. So, ito yung mga kailangan yung targetin, yung mga ganitong klaseng writer. Kasi wala silang specific beat. So, general assignment sila. So, usually, nagtumitingin po sila online. Unlike, for example, sa DOJ reporter, sa mga Malacanang reporter, planado na kasi, meron kasing coverage notes, planado na yung kung ano yung gagawin nila sa bawat araw na yon. So, parang mahirap makapenetrate dun sa mga beat reporters. I suggest dito. So, di-discuss ko to later. Next slide po. Bukod naman dun sa broadcast companies, pati yung mga, yung print, meron din silang digital arm. Like for example, yung philstar.com, may sister company siya ng Philippine Star na broadsheet. Pero independent sila sa isa't isa. So may sariling editors, may sariling tao, yung online arm. Next slide po. So there are 3 kinds of digital articles based on information. So again, yung isa is yung mga article na galing yung information sa beat, and then reports based on materials available online. Pwede dito yung mga research nyo. And then articles based on interview on a radio program. Like for example, sa CNN Philippines, yung programa naming The Source. So every day, we interviewed 1 or 2 newsmakers, and then our online writer, yung base dun sa interview ng anchor, gagawa siya ng report para dun. So kung mapapansin nyo, parang mas may mastery in terms of topic kung pag-uusapan natin yung kino-cover na beat sa beat reporters kesa doon sa online writers. Kasi sa online writers, mas malawak yung kaalaman nila kasi wala silang permanenteng assignment, pero hindi ganun kalalim yung understanding doon sa bawat ahensya na kino-cover nila. Unlike pag beat reporter ka, nakafocus ka sa 1 or 2 agencies, doon ka lang, pero malalim yung pagkaintindi mo doon sa functions, organizational structure, at saka yung proyekto o yung mga issues na kinakaharap ng ahensya na yun. Next slide po. So punta naman tayo sa television newsroom. So ito naman yung proseso. So kung sa newspaper, merong isang tao, yung news editor o yung chief of reporters, kung saan siya yung nagko-kolekta ng mga pitches o yung advisory ng reporters para gawing coverage notes, meron siyang counterpart sa broadcast media. So, for CNN Philippines, we call him the Director for News Gathering. So, gumagawa siya nung coverage notes. Ano ba yung coverage note? It is the list of issues, media briefings, congressional hearings, court cases, and events that correspondents will report on the next day. Kasama rin dito yung treatment na story. Ano ba yung treatment na story? Ano ba yung angle na ipo-pursue? Ano yung mga issues na i-raise doon sa report? Ano yung mga possible case studies? Pag sinabi namin case studies is, ano ba yung, sino ba yung mga tao na i-interview? Like for example, ang topic ay taas pamasahe. Para ka magkaroon ng case studies, mag-i-interview ka ng driver, mag-i-interview ka ng commuter. So binibigyan mo ng muka yung isang issue. Unlike kasi pag nagbabasa ka ng diary or nagbabasa ka ng article online, walang muka purely yung issues lang and content. Hindi po pwede yun sa broadcast. So kailangan merong mas ma-emphasize mo yung human interest aspect ng story. Kaya kami naglalagay ng case study para makakonect ka dun sa viewers. Next slide po. And then, ito yung proseso na susunod. So pag nagawa na yung coverage notes sa gabi pa lang inaayos na yon. Next morning at 8 o'clock, magpapadala ulit ng updated coverage notes. Ipe-present yon ng Director for News Gathering sa lahat ng people concerned. Para lahat inform ano yung direction ng coverage for the day. Paano kung may nangyaring issue na wala sa coverage notes? Siyempre, idadagdag yun. Kasi ito, kumbaga, ano lang naman to kumbaga parang roadmap lang naman to. Hindi mo naman masasabi kung ano yung mangyayari sa isang araw. So halimbawa, for example, kay Sir Rico Hizon, nakaplano na rin, sino ba yung guest ni Sir Rico for umaga pa lang, planado na, sino yung guest niya para sa 9 p.m. show. Pero kung may nangyari, magdadagdag ulit ng guest or ng newsmaker na po pwedeng interviewin. Next slide po. So, pag natapos na yung story conference in the morning, ang mangyayari is yung mga reporters tatrabahuhin na nila yung mga story, they will report doon sa tinatawag naming desk editors. Sila yung nagme-manage ng coverage ng reporters. Sila yung minders ng reporters. So they guide the reporters to gather information, writing scripts. Sila din nakikipag-coordinate sa producers, sa editors, and saka iba pang involved sa production ng news. Next slide po. And then, meron ding tinatawag na executive producer or yun yung lead producer ng newscast and current affairs program. So, ang ginagawa ng taong ito is base dun sa coverage notes at base dun sa lumalabas na updates sa online news, gagawa siya ng outline ng magiging rundown o yung script for the newscast. So, kung mapapansin nyo, plinano na nga kagabi, in-update na nung umaga, tapos per show, mag-a-update na naman. Walang katigil-tigil ng update. Ganon po talaga yun. Kasi dahil sa online medium, mas mabilis yung dissemination ng information. Kaya mas yung tendencies, yung coverage ng media, lagi rin kaming naghahabol. Sabi nga nila is, bakit ganon yung digital medium? Parang naka-steroids. Dati kasi, nung walang online, dyaryo lang sa TV. Kung ano lang yung naka-schedule na press ko noong umaga, yun lang yun. Pero yung mga announcement, hindi mo yun magagawa ng basta-basta by just clicking some buttons. So ngayon, mas nakakapagod yung trabaho. Next slide po. So anong gagawin natin? So first, nagawa na yung outline ng show. So ipe-present ngayon ng EP doon sa mga people involved sa production. For example, si Ma'am Pinky, sa anchor, sa consultant, saka sa mga producers, ano ba yung magiging direksyon ng programa niya. So may meeting na nung umaga, may meeting pa per show. Iba yung meeting para sa show niya, iba yung meeting para sa ibang show. Kasi kailangan ding titingnan natin yung timing. Yung bang report na to, ito bang press ko na to, aabot sa show niya? Hindi. Ito bang announcement na to, ito bang inaasahan na pagpirma ni BBM sa bagong batas, aabot sa show niya? Hindi. So magbabago yung content per show. Tapos, kapag prinesent sa amin, for example, ako as a consultant, ang trabaho ko is, teka, parang kulang yung prinesent dun sa line-up. So ako, ang gagawin ko as a gatekeeper, titignan ko rin na by the time na umere yung program niya, kumpleto ba, updated ba? So, titingin din ako online. Tapos, titingin din ako ng mga press release. Baka may na-miss. Tapos, pag meron ding mga bagay na, for example, issues na hindi pa nasasagot, pwede naman siguro mag-invite kami ng newsmaker para ma-interview ng anchor online. So, for example, sa research, naglabas kayo ng isang magandang research and then, na-publish siya online. Dapat maging prepared din kayo dun sa possibility na baka tawagan kayo kung pwede to clarify something, pwedeng ma-interview yun. Usually, nangyayari yun kapag sa mga survey stories. Minsan kasi masyadong technical yung language ng survey, so meron kaming mga clarify. So, pinapa-interview namin sa anchor live sa show, yung nag-create ng survey na yun para maliwanagan kami. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng pagtaas o yung pagbaba? Next slide po. Tapos, pagkatapos ng show meeting, so, yung show meeting kasi nangyayari 2 or 3 hours before the show. So, makikipag-coordinate na yung desk editor sa reporter, sasabihin na sa kanila, ano ba yung mga story forms na kailangan yung gawin base dun sa rundown. So now I'll discuss ano-ano yung mga iba't ibang klaseng story forms. Next slide po. Next slide po. So ito. So una is yung voice over. Ito pag nanonood kayo ng newscast, yan yung nagbabasa lang, for example, si Tita Mel. Binabasa niya lang yan, tapos habang binabasa niya, nagpi-play yung audio man ng video na para dun sa script na yon. And then voice over with sound on tape. Ito naman yung merong interview, hindi lang niya binabasa. Nagpo-pause siya, merong pinapasok na sound bites. And then package, ito yung tape. Magtataka kayo, gabi na yung 24 oras at alas 6 yun na, 6:30 yun eh. Pero merong report na kayo na pang umaga, kayo na pang tanghali. Tape yun. Ang tawag namin doon is package. And then, yung special report, it's also tape, para siyang package, pero ang pinagkaiba is mas malalim to. So usually, yung mga research, mas nagagamit yan sa special report. I'm not saying na hindi siya nagagamit sa package. Depende sa pagkakayari nung reporter. In fact, mas maganda nga, kahit package lang, kung merong research na tungkol dun sa issue, maisama, para yung content niya is mas maging informed ba, mas magkaroon ng laman. Next po. And then, yung live, ito yung mapapansin nyo na nasa beat yung reporter, live siyang nag-report. Usually, ginagawa yan kapag breaking news. There's no time to write script. There's no time to edit. So, the reporter will just report live. And then, minsan naman may banter. Minsan yung nagtatanungan sila nung anchor, ano ba ang sitwasyon dyan? Napirmahan na ba yung gano'n? So, we call it banter. And then, minsan naman, live report na, pero meron pang sound on tape. So, ang ginagawa ni reporter dyan is, parang sa anchor kanina, tumitigil din siya, nagpo-post din siya when when the audio man is playing a material online. And then, beeper, ito yung pinakasimple, hindi mo nakikita sa camera yung reporter, tumatawag lang siya sa phone call. So, nagpe-play lang ng video habang binabasa niya yung report niya through phone. And then, meron din naman with SOT o meron with sound on tape. Next slide po. So, sa CNN Philippines kasi, meron tinatawag na the row o yung mga consultant and copy editors. Unlike other media, walang ganon. Kasi yung pag-i-edit, yung pagpipili ng stories, saka iba pang editorial guidance, nandun na yung sa function ng production manager at saka ng executive producer. But in CNN Philippines, dahil ganun kasi yung proseso o yung structure ng CNN International, ganun yung kailangan nilang sundin. Next slide po. So ito na yung tips. Sana makatulong. Next slide po. So number 1. So kanina, in-explain ko kung gaano kahaba at kung gaano kabilis yung pagsiscreen, pamimili ng story. So di ba, may meeting, naggumawan, plinano na kagabi. In-update nung umaga, per show, i-update na naman, update ng update. Paano ba kami makaka-penetrate? I suggest, kung research yung ipipitch nyo, gusto nyo gawing storya, gawin nyo ng Sunday or holiday. Bakit? Kasi yan po yung lean days. Walang DOJ, sarado, so walang press con sa Secretary Remulla tuwing hapon ng Sunday afternoon. Wala ring Senate inquiry, kasi hanggang Thursday lang ang Senate. Iwasan natin kung maglalabas tayo ng research na talagang pinagkahirapan tayo maganda, iwasan natin sumabay dun sa mga malalaking storya. So you have to monitor the news as well. Tapos, syempre kung maglalabas ka ng report, I suggest na paano kung tawagan ka, katulad ng nangyari sa amin sa survey story, maganda sana yung survey. Kaso hindi namin maintindihan yung isang part ng report kasi masyadong technical yung language. Wala namang available na kakausap sa amin. So dapat, pag maglalabas ka nito, na pag-uusapan nyo na, sino ba yung pwedeng kausapin ng media? Na on the spot, bawa, bigla kang interviewin, isama ka dun sa newscast. Ganun kasi yung nangyari sa amin recently. Isasama dapat yung researcher, yung lead researcher, kakausap mo siya ng anchor sa newscast, pero walang sumasagot sa tawag namin, walang available. So, yun. Next. Next po. So, yan. So, kung magpipitch ng Sunday, dahil sarado yung ahensya ng gobyerno, saan ngayon kukuha ng impormasyon? Yung mga beat reporters at saka yung mga online writers, lalo na yung online writers na wala namang beat talagang kino-cover, pupunta yan sa media, sa social media. Maghahalongkat yan ng website, maghahalongkat yan ng group chat sa Viber. So ang gagawin nyo ngayon, kasi bakit nila ginagawa yun? Kahit naman bukas yung ahensya ng gobyerno tinitignan nila yung dyaryo, tinitignan nila yung social media. Kasi unlike radio, yung information sa newspaper saka sa social media, matik, documented siya. Tapos, mas madali mo siyang scan. Hindi mo pwedeng scan kung ano yung content ng radio program. Tapos kung makikinig ka naman, it takes time. So kung researcher ka, dapat mas mabilis, priority mo na mas marami kang masascan na information in less time. So ang tendency, saan tumitingin yung mga researchers saka reporters? Sa dyaryo, saka sa social media. So ganun kahalaga na lagi kang merong social media presence. Next po. So ayan. So yun, sasabi ko na pala. So, ang nangyari, kung marami palang information, marami palang balita na paprocess into television news, na galing sa print and online, yan yung, kumbaga parang, hindi, kumbaga na in a way, na-shape ng print at saka ng online media, yung content ng broadcast. Nagkakaroon lang ng mas buhay, nagkakaroon lang ng case studies para magkaroon ng muka yung bawat issue para mas makarelate sa audience. Next po. Tapos, ano ba yung mga story forms na usually gumagamit ng resulta ng research? Sa voice-over, madali lang yon kasi babasahin lang naman siya ng anchor. Voice-over with sound on tape, sa package, sa special report, saka yung documentary. Yung special report, yung documentary, mas mahaba siya kaysa sa special report. Ito yung nasa eyewitness na umaabot ng 1 oras. Pwede kasing gumawa ka ng special report na 5 minutes lang, na ipapalabas mo sa 24 oras or sa TV Patrol. Next po. Third tip is, i-share nyo yung PR saka yung studies sa social media. Although malami na sigurong gumagawa nito. Pero ang isang suggestion ko is, yung highlights ng study, pwede nyo siyang i-tweet. I-tweet nyo siya. Kasi kung i-upload lang natin yung buong file sa Facebook, ang daming tamad magbasa. Pero pag kasing nandun siya sa tweet at naging interested sila, ang tendency is hanapin nila yung buong material. So ano naman ngayon yung dapat maging itsura nung press release ninyo? Kung halimbawa, nag-tweet kayo ng mga highlights, merong naging interesado. Ito po yun. Next slide po. So write tight. Yung inyong PRs, isulat nyo siya, na hindi bilang PR, isulat nyo siya na para ba siyang balita. So yung headlines and sentences, please maiksi lang. Nagiging problem to namin, kumbaga nahihirapan kami dun sa mga press release, saka mga police report na napaka-complex ng sentences na hindi namin maintindihan. Tapos yung designations, pagkahaba-haba ng title nung director, pwede po ba, suggestion ko sa inyo, mag-isip kayo yung way na mapapaigsi nyo yung title niya. Para mas madali din siyang, gagawan siya ng script, mas madali din siyang i-introduce nung anchor. So yung mga maliliit na consideration na yun, nakaka-apekto yun kasi nakita nyo naman, di ba, kung gaano kung gaano kahaba yung proseso, kung gaano kahigpit yung proseso. So dapat, mas makukuha mo yung attention, matutulungan mo yung media, mabibigay mo agad yung information na tingin mo kailangan nila. And then, next po, last one. So kung maigsi na yung PR at sinusuot mo siya na parang balita, isa kong suggestion is, maggawa pa rin ng bullet points. Pwedeng yung tinweet nyo sa Twitter, yung highlights ng research nyo, pwede nyo ilagay doon sa inyong press release. So, hindi mo, one page na nga lang yung press release, na naka-inverted pyramid format pa. Tapos meron ka pang mga bullet points sa, bago dun sa lead. So, mas madaling, pag yung for example, ko yung director for news gathering, makita mo lang yung press release na yun, nakikita mo na agad sa bullets, ano yung mga importanteng bagay. Hindi mo na kailangang basahin pa. Remember, yung director, yung editor, yung mga reporter, ang dami-dami nilang binabasa. So, kung dadagdag ka pa doon, tapos medyo ang hirap intindihin ng sentences, imbis na mapapansin yung resulta ng research, ang tendency is nilalagpasan nila yon. Hindi po nai-impress ang media sa highfalutin words. Mas gusto po ng media yung simple, yung diretso. So, wag po natin gawing komplikado yung mga bagay na pwede nating padaliin. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Macy, for that wonderful presentation. And Macy gave an overview in context of how media organization functions, insights into best practices on media selections of public releases and news, and how to pitch information to the media. I hope nakatulong yung presentation ni Ms. Macy kung paano tayo makipag-coordinate sa media para mas ma-disseminate yung mga studies natin sa public. For our last presentation, we have invited a resource speaker to share his insights and expertise in AI. This would greatly benefit our partner members, many of whom are research-oriented organizations, to enhance their strategies towards AI. He will begin his presentation with an introduction to AI, followed by a discussion of AI tools for research and the relevant issues in the context of social science research. Our third presenter is UP Project Director of MicroCasa, or Micro Credentials for Lifelong Learning and Employability, building capacities for developing agile education interventions in Southeast Asia University, and consultant to development of National AI Governance Framework, or from DTI, and many more. He has been the Director of Ethical Legal Social Issues Program of the Philippine Genome Center from 2011 to 2014, and the Executive Officer of the International Association of Bioethics. A research consultant of the Public Assessment of Water Services, or PAWS, and National Engineering Center. He has been a research fellow at the UP Center for Integrative and Development Studies and at the School of Public Health, Harvard University. Please give a round warm of applause to Dr. Peter C.
Hi, good morning. Napahaba yung introduction mo. All right, so let me go over my outline. So what I'm trying to do today is to give you some bits and pieces on the challenges for AI and AI in research institutions. So we'll talk about data scarcity, inconspicuous synthetic data, AI and bias in research. Hopefully I'll be able to offer some solutions, and then look at some examples of AI applications. I'm going to make a pitch for open data and open science as a way of dealing with the effect of AI, if not also enhancing AI in research. We'll look at some potential and pitfalls of open data. We'll see how AI facilitates open data as well. And finally, we'll wrap up the discussion on AI, open data, open science, and research institutions. Oops. So we will be asking these questions. How is AI revolutionizing research in human and behavior and societal dynamics? That's basically a complex complex areas of studies, but AI hopefully is able to address some of the complexities anyway. We're looking at impact of certain AI tools. We cannot do research without tools. I'm not sure how you do research, but these days, research very much driven or conditioned by tools. No? So if you're familiar with tools like Research Rabbit, Elicit, Homata, then you probably will have a good grasp of the direction of research in AI. Are we fully exploring AI potential in research in data analysis? Now, any one of you here who is into data science, data analytics? None? 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. So the joke in the industry is that data scientists are for most part data janitors because they spend about 80% of their time cleaning data. With AI, the hope is that AI is able to help us prepare data. We have structured data to train dealing with unstructured data. And if that is successful, you can just imagine the tremendous amount of information that can be gobbled up by AI. So it makes research powerful that way. What are the ethical and practical implications of AI in research? This part I probably will not be able to give justice to as a topic because it's a universe in its own. I only have 30 minutes, but you're welcome in the discussions to bring up some issues that are really resonating with you. No? And then finally, how should we determine the most beneficial applications of AI tools in research process? And I understand that this is quite a hot topic. I understand a message from Zig saying that, we saw your training in the Philippine Social Sciences Council, where I ran a workshop some time ago, and there's going to be another run, and the workshop is on AI tools in social research. I thought it was just, kind of brown bag kind of event. I thought 20 people would show up or even less, but it turned out 45, and the limit was just 30, and they want more. There's another run in January and some other schools, but as you know, I don't have talent for bilocation. I cannot replicate myself either. So if you're going into that space, please, you're most welcome because there's so much interest in that regard now. So this is the usual workflow. If I'm not sure how you do your research, but more or less they gravitate towards certain stages: discovery, data collection, analysis, writing, publication, outreach, and impact. And the misconception is that researchers, the serious ones, would only be using AI in writing. But these days, every stage is appended. No, the way we do research, even in the discovery stage is appended by AI, because tools like Research Rabbit, Mata, you just plug in the digital object identifier, and boom, it's gonna give you all sorts of information about the heat map of the topic, the clustering around the cognate expressions, the related expressions, the history. So there's just too much information for you to look at just with initial ISBN or digital object identifier. So in the discovery stage, these days, it's, I think, irresponsible not to use AI when you try to discover your areas of interest or to look at the angles. No? So you cannot see the forest these days, metaphorically speaking, if you don't do AI, because it's just a tool that enhances your research. Now I cannot elaborate or overemphasize the need, the use of AI for data collection, analysis, writing, and so on and so forth. I don't have much time, but for now, you will have to use your imagination. Then you'll also see the crossovers, the loop backs when you do research, so in discovery stage, and it gets even messier as we embed AI in our work. So even as you're nearing publication, if you're doing data analysis, there's something new coming in, and if you're not a good data jockey, you'll probably be really lost. So this is what it amounts to now when you do research. You will a little bit of data jockeying because there's just intermeshing going on, so much intermeshing going on. There's so many loop backs. It used to be that, back in the days, I used to hunt down books in libraries, and there was this book, the only copy in the Philippines I could find, and it's in UP Baguio. And I have to go to UP Baguio just to eyeball that book. These days, no. So it's just not practical to do that. There's so much information, online materials that you probably have time to process. And even if you process these available materials, you probably will need really AI because there's too much information out there. And if you eyeball each one, it's not possible. No, you'll end up dead of exhaustion. No, so this is your normal research writing. You cannot deny the influence of AI every step of the way. Abstracts could be written by AI. Outlines could be. It's a great unsticker. So if you're having a writer's block, enter AI. So it's gonna help you organize yourself, and sometimes it's even ahead of you in terms of organization. I ask AI to revise my thoughts, my writing, because I want, for instance, for speech purposes, one of the prompts I like is putting there in terms of euphonies, so that my text for speech, for public speaking or for public delivery would sound better in the ears. So an AI can do that better. So this is the more or less the ground up view from the trenches when you do AI, but we'll zoom out a little bit now to look at the challenges for AI and AI and research in research institutions, and that is one, the concern of data scarcity. We're running out of data. As a matter of fact, AI just has been gobbling data, training data, human produced anyway. Is running out depending on who is estimating. They say this year, they say next year, following. But it's really upon us that there's just not enough data that humans can produce that AI cannot process. So it's just processing at this mind-boggling speed. No. Second, inconspicuous data, synthetic data, meaning artificial data that could have been injected into supposedly human interaction and say, oh, that is human, but actually it was not human. And third, AI and bias in research. There is so much bias in research, and as researchers, we want to mitigate against at least harmful types of bias. No? So one, let's look at data scarcity. So you have, as I said, you need so much, or AI would need so much training data, and we're running out of that. Probably has already run out in some quarters. But the problem is that there is issue of unpredictability of the kind of training data we have so far. There's an issue of fairness. We need to mitigate bias. And there are other ethical considerations. For instance, writers, there are ongoing cases in the US now of writers suing OpenAI because it turned out that their books have been used without their permission, have been used as part of training data. So a writer would go in ChatGPT and say, what is the conclusion of this story, blah, blah, blah. And he's surprised that, ChatGPT already knows the conclusion of his story. It's only the case that, that OpenAI used the data. And I tried it myself. So if you use Claude, it's by Amazon. It's by company Anthropic, where Amazon has been heavily investing in. So there's this new book that just came out. So what I did was to, I have an audio book, so I slide into the the conclusion. I know the conclusion. I would check now if Claude knows the book. And Viola, it hasn't been published yet, but Claude already knows the book. So sorry, guys. So that's how fast and it happens as we speak. So it's very it's mixed bag. So in one hand, it's accelerating, exciting, but on the other hand, it's at least for the author, insulting. Now, so there's also potential that what we are being fed is non-representative. So I don't know if anyone of us here would say that internet data is representative of humanity. You put all sorts of trash on the internet. I don't know if you hang out in Reddit, or if your say Facebook data you'd say is representative of you. But collectively, the internet has been scraped of data and fed it to the machine, to AI, to train the machine to be able to interact with us intelligently. And that kind of data is what we call shadow data. And for all intents and purposes, that data set represents humanity. So what do you think? You think the shadow data represents you as part of the human race? So that is a question we need to ask. No? Oops, sorry. For some reason, I wasn't able to two screens. So thank you, Tech. All right, so part of the joke, part of the act. No, so the next one has to do with because I don't want to be looking at the screen, like that. So my public speaking teacher would reprimand me if I do that. So anyway, inconspicuous data, we think that these are human produced data, but actually not. So it's an example in Amazon Mechanical Turks. You pay people to label, to process certain data, for this data set to become training data for the machine. It turns out that they themselves are using AI. So you see, Mechanical Turk is also, sneaking in AI data, and that could lead to more bias. No? So that's how much data is. Being how much synthetic data could be polluting what is otherwise considered as synthetic data. Okay, the next one has to do with the next concern would be AI bias. We may have to consider the contrast between, say, internet data and lived data, or lived experience, because lived experience is so much more nuanced, so much more granular. There's emotive content, and so far AI has not really caught up with that really well. So that is something that, so when you make a story, PIDS, if you look at the human component, this is probably one of the things that you can highlight to contrast what is otherwise boring statistical data. You give life to the story. No? So there's diverse population, and we see the limitations of AI in terms of processing world information. Example, for self-driving car, we know that our kids would have would do well with object permanence. If it's only temporarily obstructed, but self-driving car will not necessarily be able to do that. No. So there is so much reliance on patterns, pattern recognition, but there's maybe not enough understanding going on, and that is, I think, the crux of the matter. So AI is able to process patterns, to look at, for instance, if you talk to GPT, it's basically just an auto-detect or auto-fill on steroids. There's not much understanding. And the pushback coming from AI experts is that, do we really need understanding? So humans would need understanding because for some reason they have to situate themselves before the world or in relation to the world, but machines do not need understanding. They simply need competence. Okay, so understanding versus competence is one of the key questions there. No? So, AI, in a way, the large language models with trillions of parameters are really black boxes that are not even explainable or not unexplainable even to the very engineers or the creators of AI. So that is a problem. Now, how can you trust something that you do not understand? The workings of artificial neural networks may not be that explainable. So that's a problem. So how can you make that kind of system accountable? So even at one point, ChatGPT was saying, or OpenAI was saying, oh, we cannot be responsible because we couldn't predict what it's going to say. So that is a problem. So propose solutions, mitigate bias, at least in the training data. You look at the algorithm. You make the researchers responsible, so you need to put in more safety measures. And this is pretty much what the discussion of governance is. Now you see the UK government pushing hard, meeting people in the Philippines. So I've been to meetings with UK, with US, with many other players. The EU, for instance, also has promulgated the AI Act. It's going to be applied in across EU territories by end of 2025, if not early 2026. So there's so-called ethics-centric AI principles or AI governance, AI first. But there are also possible technological approaches to this kind of problem, especially the black box nature, safety of AI, and this is what we'll call explainable AI and constitutional AI, and these are already available in the market. So nahuli pa rin pala ang aking slides. So the contrast now between explainable AI and so-called constitutional AI, they are very much related. This is an approach, technological approach to humanize AI to make it more safe for people to use. Because if you haven't heard, there are already suicides resulting from interaction with chatbots. We have this Belgian person who was advised by a chatbot to kill himself to save the environment. You're consuming too much carbon. You're spewing too much carbon. You're consuming too much resources. Why don't you kill yourself? By the way, I hope you have no mental issues. But that's one danger anyway. And so you would want to look at explainable AI. You reduce binary answers, explain the reasons. Constitutional AI will be emphasizing safety. You'd rather not answer the question as opposed to, in the early days of ChatGPT, it's just too eager for me to answer, even if the answer is really bullshit. So you have, and it's what we call hallucination. But as I find it rather unsettling that ChatGPT, at that point anyway, if you're using the 3.5, version 3.5, is just too eager to give you answers. Now, in contrast, for instance, I'm not promoting Claude AI. It's so much more restrained. No, it's ready to say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know much, or my answer might be, iffy. Please, take this with a grain of salt. That kind of thing. So, this contrast, I will no longer go into the details, but these are, this is 10 minutes. Thank you. So we will be mitigating, yes. These are ways mitigating the dangers. Look at transparency and trust as well. Let me just say a word about trust, because we've been pushing for transparent governments, but transparency can only take us so much. As a matter of fact, a world trend, transparency is increasing in governments. They release more data, more information on the workings of government, for instance, but the trust rating do not necessarily keep up with the with transparency. So at some point they even bifurcate. So it's not correlated, transparency, objective transparency, and trust. You need trust as a separate principle, and we'll take that up maybe in separate occasion, but not today. 10 minutes to go. So responsibilities, reduce bias, emphasize lived experience. You will have to look at algorithms, see how much of that you can divine as ordinary citizens. You'll have to look at possibilities of addressing this via the types of data we produce. So we're pitching for open data. Now, what is open data? It can be freely used, modified, shared. I was checking out the the SERP-P, if it's open access, supposedly, but you'll have to register. Yeah, I checked it this morning. The form, the survey form. Okay, I'll have a look at that again because I had the impression that it was. Yes, that one, yes. So, yeah, otherwise it's really free. That's laudable because we need all this information to feed to the machine to do the research for us. Just kidding. So, open science, movement to make scientific research data and dissemination accessible to all levels of inquiry in society. And this is what we've been fighting hard. I head the university committee on this, so hopefully we'll make a dent in the universe by espousing open data and open science. So why is that important in AI? So we will be enhancing discovery. We'll be having more vigorous research because of better discovery, reproducibility. I cannot overemphasize the fact that research is plagued with reproducibility problem. There's this researcher here, does this conclusion, he says, A is related to B, but when another researcher takes on the same question with the same data, and it cannot be replicated. We have serious replicability problem in science, and it depends on where you are. Social psychology, social sciences are the worst. So in terms of replicability. So we will have to address this via open data and open science so that the data set we have, the limitations and all, warts and all, so to speak, would be exposed and we'll be more honest with our work. As I said, justice, fairness, also with data. For instance, with algorithms, engendered by the training data. There are, up to this day, I'm not going to be pandering on women, but you are at disadvantage because if you go toe-to-toe with your husband, even if your husband has less income than you, your husband suddenly just have better credit score. He can, do more utang than you. And you, even with more income, cannot have, is deemed less credit worthy. And for some reason, that still persists to this day. So that's not necessarily fair to women. So these are the concerns. We will have to be looking at accuracy, completeness, consistency of open data so that we can make them more useful. We'll have to be asking about shared understanding of data quality dimensions. As I mentioned earlier, accuracy, completeness. We will be looking at support for quality awareness in data. This is a separate discussion. They are probably just jargons for some of us today, but maybe if I'm given enough time, I will take a deep dive on those questions. Now, for higher education, we need open AI open data to support student creativity and self-efficacy, the confidence in themselves to do research. They are very much related because you need so much. Sufficient data to practice with when you do research. So you'll address this via technical skills, applications, and of course collaborative competence. AI forces you to implement collaboration in your work. Because if you're still the traditional teacher, hard teachers, kawaii teachers, in this, only a few, just one, I happen to know. So anyway, research, if it's still the traditional research that you'll ask the student to answer a bunch of questions. That's not going to work with AI. You will have to go up to the ladder in the Bloom's taxonomy, if you're familiar with that, on the way to the creation part. And that means you will be encouraging your students to collaborate with one another to produce something that AI cannot produce. Yeah. So maybe I'll just get to this part. So we've seen case studies of AI, of open data, advancements in civic society engagement, promoting transparency and accountability. By the way, this presentation today I'm doing this open data style. So if you want the slides, and there's also a companion notes for this, so that you can examine the sources I have. So if you have the journalistic streak and you want to have a deep dive of the things we're talking about today, you can pretty much follow. I ran out of time. I didn't share it with Zeke, but that's always been the way I would present information to the public. There's accountability, so to speak. So the idea is you'll be needing open data to engage your stakeholders. So maybe up to the last slide. So government, research institutions, civic society, civic society can have easier partnerships through the utilization of open data and open science, powered by AI. If you remember the romanticism in the 60s about data, information longs to be free. So I suppose that is not something that is strange to PIDS, because they have been sharing their data. But this time with AI, we really have get to the level where our quality is of much value. So that ends my discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter C. Thank you so much for your presentation. We hope that the earlier presentations helped you craft relevant and important information dissemination efforts within your organization and hopefully to SERP-P, which we will discuss properly later during the workshop. And now we'll just set up the stage. I'd like to invite our 3 presenters on stage, and the PIDS. Just, excuse me, sir. We'll just set up the stage. Yes, and I'd like to invite the 3 presenters on stage together with the PIDS Department Manager, Research Information Department, and SERP-P Project Manager, Dr. Sheila Siar. Dr. Sheila Siar will moderate the open forum.
Thank you very much. May I request our 3 presenters to join me here on the stage for our open forum. So we listened to 3 very interesting presentations. So the first presentation showed us how digital tools can be used for stakeholder consultations to get information about people's needs and preferences to ensure that our development interventions will be relevant and timely. Ms. Pinky also emphasized the importance of using accessible and user-friendly tools, and she emphasized the importance of building trust, getting people's trust, and ensuring that the process is secure and will not compromise their privacy and security. Well, she can share more during the open forum, and we invite you to ask questions, no, for so she can expound more on her presentation. Okay, and then the second presentation showed us how information from respective sources land in traditional and modern news outlets, and Ms. Claire's presentation also showed us how gatekeepers of news sources decide on what goes out to the public. And we also saw how complex the digital media is compared to traditional media. And then from Dr. Peter C., we saw the importance of being responsible users of AI. Okay, and he showed us how to use AI in knowledge generation and dissemination, taking into consideration both its opportunities and threats. And one of the insightful quotes that he mentioned was that from Churanjit Singh, in which who said that AI is just a tool. It's only as good as the data it's trained on. And I think we should always put that in mind whenever we use AI, whenever we encounter AI, because there's so much hype going on in the use of AI, and sometimes we forget that it's just a tool. It should not, it should neither replace humans nor sort of corrupt our minds. No, that it is that AI is really the solution to all our problems, or to all the questions that we confront each day, no? So it's just a tool. So whatever you program or whatever information that you feed on the machine, then that's going to be the outcome. And the thing is, we often forget about it because we're so consumed in these digital tools, where we often forget that at the end of the day, we are the decision makers. We should be responsible users of digital tools. So at this point, I entertain questions from the floor, and if there's anyone who would like to pose questions to our speakers, then you're free to do so. But since wala pa po tayong question, perhaps I can ask some questions. I can throw some questions to our speakers. And one of which is, okay, in the presentations, Mary Claire, she showed us the complex process of gatekeeping news sources, of choosing what goes out to the public. But my question is, how do media networks and journalists ensure that their articles, that their stories are accurate? Because there's so much noise going on. There's so much false information, fake news that's being circulated. And this phenomenon of disinformation and misinformation, well, it has become more rampant, especially during the pandemic, and especially as information becomes more accessible to everyone. So how can we navigate this, this landscape of too much noise when it comes to information and disinformation and misinformation?
Ma'am, dyan po papasok yung media literacy na tinuturo sa senior high school pa lang. So, diba, para tayo matawag na media literate, kailangan matuto tayong pumili. Anong ba yung mga reputable sources ng information? Like, for example, the PIDS, it's a government think tank. So, sa mga ganito ka kukuha ng information. Then you ask me, how do media organizations ensure that the information that we publish already is correct? It's about editorial policy. So, sa CNN po kasi, ang policy namin is at least 2 sources, government or private, reputable sources, kailangan may interview para tumayo yung isang storya. So, kung isa lang, duda kami doon. Saka kasi, we have to ensure the fairness. So, for example, there's an issue. So, papakinggan mo yung magkabilang panig. That's why we implement the 2-source policy, at least 2 sources. And then kung sa ano naman po, if we are using information online, meron kasi kaming mga listahan yung mga official Twitter account, official Facebook account, kasi marami pong gumagawa ng mga fake accounts. So, as a major organization, ano kami doon, chine-check muna namin yung, kapag may nakita kami online, chine-check muna namin kung tama ba, kung official account ba yon ng isang organization na they claim to represent. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Okay. In terms of AI, Dr. C, can AI be a tool for combating fake news? And in what way?
But let me step back a little bit on the dynamic involved in misinformation and disinformation. If you're familiar with the so-called Brandolini's Law, you can Google it. Brandolini's Law, and that states that the energy it takes to counter misinformation is by orders of magnitude way greater than producing misinformation. So the cost of producing misinformation is so little, and but the cost of cleaning misinformation is tremendous. So even if you put up a good fight there and say this is the correct information, that's not going to cut it, because misinformation is just so persistent. No? There are no ready-made answers. You have to look at the entire information ecosystem, and AI can help. For instance, in terms of tagging, in terms of labeling, and if you are users of platforms, supposedly, if you're owners of platforms, so if you're Facebook, if you're Google, supposedly your AI is able to produce this more mechanically. I mean, to control this more mechanically. Except that there is again another overarching incentive structure that that feeds on misinformation, because if it's going to be emotive, engaging, rage, for instance, tends to get more clickbaits, clicks than feel good messages. So it's just the way things are. So Facebook is incentivized by having people click on things that can go viral more than the others, and that is usually rage, misinformation, these things that are, as a matter of fact, inimical to humanity. So yes, but in a limited way. You have to look at it in terms of ecosystem and the power play online. Thank you.
I saw Miss Pinky nodding his head, and he may have something to share as well.
Definitely, I fully agree with you, Dr. C, that many times we will believe what we want to believe, right, without checking. And many times we all fall prey to just machinery-based collection of data. Whom of you click, for example, what appears in Facebook as how do you know how would you look like if you had short hair? All of us would click that, right? What are your top 10 favorite Korean telenovelas? You'd click that immediately. AI is already mining and reaping your knowledge. You want to do that. But like Dr. C said, it would take immeasurable amounts of effort just to shout out, hello, fake news, hello, this is clickbait, hello. However, we still exercise vigilance. We still have that responsibility to say, wait a minute. Is this something that will do good? Is this something that will put all my private information out there? So it's still an individual decision. However, there could be platforms already readily available that we can also use to fact check, right? But again, it will fall down to individual decision, individual recording, individual responsibility and accountability. Just be vigilant and mindful.
Thank you. Ms. Pinky, if I may ask the second question, regarding ADB's experience in using digital tools such as AI, how is the bank? No, we know that the bank works in so many countries, but how is the bank navigating, this increasingly, this rapidly progressing field of AI? Is the bank open to using AI, and in what way?
Cannot speak to that yet. There are ongoing discussions on how to protect. We are under pressure by our writers and authors to protect their intellectual property. So there are ongoing discussions with a lot of producers, with writers and authors, experts in their fields on how to protect that intellectual property, at the same time provide free information, quality information for public use. However, there are already governments who are using AI and digital platforms extensively in our project. So we are not stopping the governments if they feel that it is necessary to be using these platforms and that they're readily available anyway. And stakeholders and communities on the ground are already saying that we are here, engage us here. So again, the old adage of start where people are, let us meet halfway. If they are online, we engage them online. But no instructions.
No instructions
nor
yet.
guidelines.
Nor guidelines yet. But I think in terms of the academe, in the case of the University of the Philippines, you have UP has its released its guidelines on the ethical use of AI in the academe. Can you share it with us, Dr. C?
Yeah, it's online, but quite frankly, I don't have the details of that. Another group put it up. I also have my own for academic integrity. For instance, I own my upclab.org acad AI is you can check it out now. upclab.org/acad AI. So you can use that, but you can also search the UP website. There is this statement on how we're supposed to be dealing with AI, and that is response. It's been subject to media coverage because, as I said, academia has been appended by AI. So it's all out there.
But how about our news organizations or media organizations? Claire, has there been an initiative among the news organizations to come up with standards, to come up with guidelines on how to use AI?
Recently kasi, yung isang network, ay, di ko napapangalanan, yung isang network, so instead of hiring a sportscaster, giving this opportunity to humans, so they use AI. So, alam na natin yun, di ko napapangalanan. So, there's a debate. In fact, even the UP Mascom, tayo nila doon. Kasi syempre, meron naman talent tayo, di ba? Bakit natin ibibigay yun sa machine? Kung makakapag-employ tayo, magbibigay tayo ng oportunidad sa tunay na tao. Sa ibang bansa, there's an issue in the US. Sa creatives naman, kasi nawawalan ng trabaho yung mga producers, yung mga scriptwriters, kasi imbis na sila i-hire, mag-AI na lang. So, nagkaroon sila ng agreement. So, nag-strike sila for, I think, months yun eh. Hindi ko lang matanda kung gano'ng katagal, pero matindi. Nag-strike sila para magkaroon sila ng policy na sinasabi nyo na meron limited lang yung paggagamitan ng AI. So, define yun para yung kanilang kabuhayan maprotektahan. Kasi kung hindi natin i-regulate yung paggamit ng AI, for example, sa media industry, bukod sa mawawalan kami ng trabaho, baka mas lalong lumaganap yung misinformation and disinformation. Hindi natin alam kung paano nila magagamit yung AI. But the thing is, they already use the social media to influence many political issues here. So, I think that's the danger. And I think dapat nga magkaroon ng policy or ng clear-cut regulations kung paano ba gagamitin ito? Ano ba yung limitations? Hanggang saan lang ba ito gagamitin? Para hindi rin naman mawalan ng trabaho yung mga tao.
Thank you very much. And now I can see hands. Okay, let us start with Ma'am Jessica of the Action for Economic Reforms. Ma'am Jessica, to be followed by the gentleman at the back.
very interesting discussion. AI dito. I'd like to ask Miss Pinky, thank you for sharing the China experience during the pandemic, but have you done a scan on the available platforms that are reliable if you want to do something similar for the Philippines? Let's say I want to do something on tobacco consumption. And so what would be a good platform to use so that I can have a good data set? And not going to the ground. Kasi we want to use digital approaches. Thank you.
I am not as techy as Dr. C, so maybe he can answer you with the actual tools. But however, what I can say is that depending on what our basic baselining, our baselining would say when we do profile our stakeholders on what they are actually using already. So for example, in the story I was telling you about earlier on installing chatbots for gender-based violence survivors in Mongolia, because imagine during the pandemic, everyone was saying stay at home. Yeah. However, for many women and for many children, you cannot stay home safely. They needed an option to ask for help, and the only way to do that was via chatbots. However, you were in an emergency situation when we had to use Facebook Messenger, which is unreliable. As we know, data privacy is pretty skewed, it messed up. However, it was an emergency situation, and we badly needed the women to be able to use something that they are already using quickly. So we just needed to set up the system where we had to change the coding of Messenger. We talked with Facebook about it, and they were able to access rescue, psychosocial counseling via the chatbots, or should they need psychosocial counseling face-to-face, meaning there is a human behind the advice or the counseling or legal counseling, we set it up with CSOs. But because CSOs and also the government are also pretty stretched during the pandemic and they were not available 24/7, it was the chatbots who were actually providing the information for gender-based violence survivors and their families. I wanted to point out, also share a story that Dr. C shared about self-harm and suicide and the importance of getting actual user language direct from survivors. Because when we were debugging the system, the messenger, one actual GBV survivor tried it out. She typed in, I want to kill myself. I will drown myself in the river. And the chatbot said, good luck.
Oh my.
Good luck. It could not recognize drown in river. It could not recognize kill because the language is Mongolian. And they had a lot of dialects also. So this was a herder in the remote areas whom we tapped to try it out. So the actual user language was very important for the chatbots to recognize and provide, information that will not push the user to harm. So, but that's all I can say. Maybe Dr. C can provide you with a better tools.
We listen to the next question muna.
Okay. Well, before I call on the gentleman at the back, no, I think kanina in Dr. C's presentation, he mentioned AI being relying on pattern recognition and less on really understanding human nuances, no, and human emotion. So that is why it's really very important. It's very risky to rely on AI. It's useful, but there has to be, dapat ma-fine-tune pa rin, Dr. C, yung paggamit ng AI, no? It's still very useful yung mga chatbots. But what you feed in there, really, is kung ano yung input, yun yung output. And sometimes hindi siya nare-recognize talaga nung AI, no? Yung patterns of human emotions, no? And that's too bad when it happens, when it results to the loss of human lives, no? Pag nagkakaganon. Anyway, we can go more into that. Let me call first the gentleman at the back. Sir, please go ahead po. Please tell us your name and your affiliations po.
Ito na lang.
Alexa.
Okay, okay. Akala ko lalapit na lang ako sa inyo. Wala ulit.
Hello. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Proper positioning siguro. Thank you very much. This very and in fact this reinforce my of the use of AI. Our workshop, we're able to summarize the findings when we inputted all the results of the workshop, and it was amazing, really. In fact, the oldest in the group was so amazed that the youngest, and Dave, was appreciated for that effort. But this is one thing very interesting about humans. We created something which we intend to be functional, but there are always dysfunctionalities, and that's the cause of our worries. I'm an anthropologist, sociologist as well, and I'm teaching research. I'm the research director of the University of Silliman. So my concern really is on the students. Well, AI has to be used with great responsibility. Doc Peter, you mentioned about creativity, no? That makes students particularly creative. But there are different ways of looking at creativity. So what is it then that we have to emphasize in teaching research, which we could be able to really get the right kind of creativity from our students? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Encarnacion. We just met a few weeks ago, so we keep on hanging out. But it's a very good question because it goes to the heart of what the limits of AI are. So, so if you want to foster creativity, cheating is also creativity, right? Diba? The cheaters are very creative people. Yeah, the hackers. So is that the kind of creativity we want? No. There are many answers that we can think about, but well, let me just limit myself to the collaborative type, the organizational type. We've been atomized by many forces to be dealing. Our hero is an individual genius, but with AI, pressure from AI, we cannot remain in our silos. We have to collaborate as human beings, as society, as groups, because one, survival. There is this idea that some AI experts could not think of any situation, any scenario where AI will not kill us. So we better get together. The second has to do with really organizational learning. And in the innovation space, people are too hung up on the nice, shiny objects, the latest iPhone and this and that. But not many people have paid attention to the way we should be acting as a country. We have a serious coordination problem, and Vietnam, Southeast Asian countries. When I go around, I see that if we don't get our acts together, we'll just be organ donors. We'll just be data donors, because the powerful platforms of data, of AI, are collecting our data. And there's no way for us to be using our own data for our own purposes, for the meanings we associate to what we do to society. And this is where we have to get together. And that is the collaboration that I'm talking about, the kind of creativity that we have to teach in schools. It cannot be, the usual, banking system that, you have this bunch of things to be memorized and then, so, but on the other hand, you also cannot ban AI, you cannot put this, you cannot, shield our students because it's from AI, because that is also going to create a disservice to them, no? AI produces is accountable for about 30 to 40% of productivity. And in my work and in my classes, I cannot let my students miss out on that 30 to 40%. So the default in my classes is you have to use AI. If you cannot use AI, if you do not use AI, the problem is with you. You will have to justify. The same with my work. When I deal with designers, with coders, developers, you have to use AI. If you don't use AI, we have a problem. So we'll have a conversation. Why are you not using AI? As opposed to, people are sneaky and they're using AI. Just assume that all my presentations have used AI. There's no shame in there, and there's a trail, and there's an accounting of how I use AI. It's in my notes. Please have a look. But really, the creativity that we want is really on the way we are able to deal with teams, with collaborators, with the way we process information, because that one is requiring creativity. I mentioned earlier about becoming data jockey, and jockeying, if you're the party animal, it's a creative exercise.
Thank you very much. Okay. Other questions from our participants? Okay. So let's entertain first the lady in red.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cynthia, librarian from Central Philippine University. I would like to address my questions to Dr. C. Dr. C, as a librarian, citation is very important for us librarians. Now, does EI provide citation for the data information it provides and generates? So parang hindi ko nakita ang proper citation doon. Is it? Yes.
Nandun po, sa notes ko, at saka nandun sa baba, depends on which AI tools you use. For instance, Research Rabbit, you have the DOI, the ISBN, they will come up. So if you are dealing with ChatGPT, ChatGPT is the weakest of all the platforms.
So parang walang yan.
You can state, for instance, that AI or the answers include accurate in-text citations, no? And then you can have certain formats and so on. That's why you really have to know prompt engineering in this regard, no? But with caution, of course, because especially more of degrees of hallucination. So, which platform hallucinates the most? That would be ChatGPT, right?
So beware.
So,
beware.
the least hallucinator would be maybe Bard and Claude, no? But ChatGPT is also very strong in language, no? So, for instance, I'm creating a campaign. I want to create a campaign jingle. I would go to ChatGPT because ChatGPT is just, if I want my lyrics to be hip-hoppy kind of lyrics, I'll go to ChatGPT because Claude is so uptight, no? He cannot dance. Yes.
So, Dr. C, is there an accuracy rating when it comes to different different AI platforms? No, meron bang parang reliable rating?
Yes. It depends on the domain of expertise. So, general purpose, that would be, I think, Claude. When you factual things like so if you're using 3.5, that's the training data is, I think, until 2021 or something. So you have to get to 4, which you have to pay. No, that's another dynamic there. No, and then there's another Elon Musk coming up. So they will be competing, and the accuracy would depend on the domain, the subject domain.
Okay, and is it accurate to say that the free ones are the ones that are less accurate, and the paid ones are more accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to pay. Okay. So there's a fee involved, certain investment involved, so to get more accurate information using AI. Ma'am, yes.
We try to our Hiligaynon language, automatically, it's a very long response with, and then in Hiligaynon, ang lalim pa ng pagka-Ilonggo. Hiligaynon, that's our dialect. Ang lalim.
Okay.
Yun lang.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Then let us go to our next participant. Okay, I think she's from SEPO.
Hi, I'm Teta Pardalis from the Senate Economic Planning Office. My question is, you mentioned earlier of the regulation of the law. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's regulation, but I'd like to give you a big picture first. So there's a difference between governance, regulation, and legislation. Some of our colleagues would like to rush it and go straight to legislation. That is a dangerous approach. Why? Our congressmen and the legislators may not have the intellectual scientific sophistication, to say the least, to be able to deal with a phenomenon or a development such as AI. And I've been joking around that regulating AI is like regulating the weather. Having said that, there is still space for regulation. Again, not necessarily legislation, because we already have existing laws, for instance, on consumer protection, where you might want to update that to include safety in the use of AI platforms. I'm a Filipino. I paid AI to do this job. It's not supposed to kill me. So there is supposed to be safety as a taxpayer. I'm supposed to be protected by government. And so, one reason or another, there is to be some safety standards. And that's being addressed. No? And that one is something that you can get to. Now, the other part of the legislation, suppose you really have to regulate. And that area on safety, especially, there are, there's an EU AI Act, and there's Biden executive order, and Asia also are coming, doubling down on safety, and that's fine. No? Now, when we really have to do legislation, remember this phrase, sunset clauses. Yes. Because technology is fast changing. You may have a law that ossifies a measure that, that tend to be counterproductive down the line. Case in point, optical media board. Are you familiar with optical media board? So if you're from Quiapo, you hide from the optical media board, or if you're in Green Hills, but it's, who else is doing DVD these days? But that's the whole idea of optical media board. There's no sunset clause. It's a useless office now. But, it persists. Our legislators forgot that technology is fast changing. So you better put in a sunset clause and say that if this law is promulgated, it's going to expire on 2030, subject to renewal. If it's not renewed explicitly, deads. No? So this is the way also I think of my office. I'm starting an office on digital transformation. It's supposed to die in 10 years. So let's kill bureaucracy that's useless by introducing sunset clauses.
Thank you very much, Dr. C. If I may, ask the next question before I call other participants, no? And let's jump to the topic of news, which was the topic of Miss Claire, no? We all know that sensational stories are the ones that catch the attention of the public, and this is also why the media, they are into sensational stories, sensational topics, no? And how can we be less sensational and more development-oriented when it comes to selecting topics for either our traditional or our modern platforms of information?
We have to understand that public relations and journalism, they operate on different paradigms. Kasi pag public relations kasi is yung more of ano yung ano yung service, ano yung policy, or ano man yung bagay na gusto nating i-promote. For example, yung resulta ng research and everything. Ang media po kasi, mas nagtutuon kami doon sa problema. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na hindi namin binabalita kung ano yung solusyon. Kasi bakit? Mas mahalaga kasi nga pagtuunan, ano muna yung wala, ano muna yung problema. Kasi marami tayong, as a country, we have many problems. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, mas maraming laman ang balita ngayon na nakatuon sa problema. Pangalawa, meron kasing watchdog function yung media. So, parang kami yung fourth estate na ganun. Tapos, ano pa ba? Siguro kailangan lang din ng effective system para sa pagdi-disseminate ng, for example, ng mga research. So kanina sinasuggest ko dun sa aking presentation na gawin nating mas simple yung pagpipitch natin sa media ng mga information. Kasi isa sa mga bagay kung bakit hindi rin yun napapansin, na-observe ko lang is masyadong, for example, yung language, masyadong komplikado, masyadong technical yung language. Tapos, mali yung timing. So, itong mga, for example, meron kayong research about farming, mayroong mga solusyon tungkol doon. Mali lang kasi yung pagkakapackage ng information officers. Kaya hindi ganong nakikita nung mga gatekeepers, nung mga reporter, na ay, mahalaga pala to. Oh. Pero kung matututunan ninyo na i-present siya as a news, makikita nyo ano yung mga bagay na mas kailangang i-highlight. Matututo kayong pumili ng mga information na pwede namang alisin na or hindi naman kailangan, nandun naman pero hindi naman kailangan i-emphasize. Siguro mas madali para sa media na makita ano ba yung kahalagahan ng gusto nyong i-pitch sa kanya in terms of research. Ano pa ba, Miss?
But in fairness to the media, if we scan the newspapers,
Meron na po kasing mga sections para doon.
Mga sections naman, let's say in terms of health, in terms of science and technology, you would feature from time to time mga relevant, mga really useful technologies that have benefited the people. May mga segments. But really, yung usually talaga, yung nasa headline, yung nasa front page, ito yung mga sensational. Ito talaga yung mga nakakaakit sa consciousness sa mga tao na, ay, ito yung malaking problema. And this is related to what you said, no? Kasi nga, we would like to flag to, let's say, to the policymakers, to government leaders, no? And even to the public, that these are the pressing issues of the time. And these are the ones that demand your attention. These are the ones that demand governments.
Change.
Yeah, these are the ones that require change, no? For the benefit of the people. So meron namang may reason kung bakit ganon. But if you go to the other pages, no, to the different sections, makikita natin na maraming mga stories na really talagang mga positive naman, no?
Siguro isa pang tip is kailangan kasi matutunan din ng public information officers anong section ba yung dapat nyong lapitan. Kasi for example, naranasan ko yan nung nalipat na ako sa main section, nagpipitch sa akin yung tiga DOST. Or kung hindi man sa akin, dun sa kasamahan ko. Yung kasing main section, para yun sa mga legislation, sa DOJ, sa mga ganong, sa mga politika, sa mga ganong. Do not go there. Hanapin nyo dun sa organization na meron naman silang website. Sino ba yung science editor? So dun nyo ibibigay yung inyong mga press release, yung inyong mga invitation for coverage. Kasi kung sa maling section nyo ibibigay, chances are, hindi nila papansinin yun. Ito, isa pang tip. ano ba yung mga dito? Merong taga-DA dito, di ba? Oh, iba yung mga tungkol sa mga science, sa DA. Dati kasi ako sa agriculture eh. So, ano yung mga sections para dyan? O pwede siya sa business, kasi ang business desk naman, kasi meron yang, hindi lang yan sa economics, meron din yan banking, meron din yan stock exchange. Ang agriculture kasi part yun ng business page. Pero, tingnan nyo rin yung media organization, meron ba siyang separate section or separate magazine para sa agriculture? Manila Bulletin, meron silang ganon. Ano pa ba? Meron din namang, for example, sa shows, tingnan nyo, obserbahan nyo yung network, yung programming nila. Meron ba silang show na para sa mga kabataan, na para sa mga magsasaka? So, magiging strategic din kayo. Ito yung mga lalapitan ko. Hindi yung basta magpapadala lang ako ng email sa lahat. Yun.
Thank you very much, Claire, for those tips. No, I saw Pinky nodding her head, and you may want to add something. You may want to share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I was thinking about some of the NGOs are really very suave, and I call it magaling sumakay sa issues of the day. So for example, if you have a really good in-depth research paper on rice, monopoly, supply, biotech, human genome, etc. If in the news, they are talking about 20 peso rice, remember? Then you can pitch your research and say, gusto mo ba talagang mapababa ng 20 pesos ang bigas? And then pitch your research results. If you have something on traffic and road safety, then pitch it to the road and safety issue of the day. Gusto mo ba talagang matanggal ang traffic sa EDSA? Then that. So I was just thinking of, making sure that you have the pulse of the issue of the day, the news and the headlines there, and think of how your research can then be pitched para sakyan yon. Then you're going to possibly go viral, and then you will make your research more relevant and timely for a particular time.
So yeah, that's a very, very important point.
I'll add to that. Like for example, meron kang ginawang research 2 years ago, let's say about traffic. Wala namang issue, for example, sa traffic 2 years ago nung ginawa mo yon. Tapos ngayon, nagkaroon ng problema, may road rage incident. Kahit 2 taon na yung research mo, pwede mong i-upload mo, i-tweet mo yung highlights ng research mo. Kasi by that, bakit ko sinasuggest? Kasi by that time na may, for example, may road rage incident na nag-viral, ang tendency ng mga media researchers is maghanap ng mga material para doon. So kung mas magiging strategic tayo sa pagmamahagi ng research, siguro mas matutulungan nyo ang media para mas maging informed yung reporting. Kasi isa sa napapansin ko, pag nag-edit ako is, puro story, for example, puro storya. Ito yung problema. Magkahanap ako, patatanungin ko yung reporter, ano yung solusyon? Kailangan may lalim, hindi yung nandun lang tayo sa level ng problema. Kumbaga, nade-develop yung storya per day. Kailangan may lalim, may progress ito. So, i-interviewin yung public official. Sabi, magbibigay naman yung public official ng opinion niya. Paano kung meron palang research na, siyempre, mas pinag-aralan yun. May mga FGD yun, may mga mas magiging malaman dapat yung content. Pero nami-miss kasi hindi alam nung reporter. So, I think tama si Ms. Pinky doon na kung isasabihin nyo siya kung ano yung usapin ngayong araw na to, kahit sabihin natin medyo matagal na yung research, kung relevant naman siya dun sa topic. Saka kung, di ba yun naman ang purpose ng research? Yung nakapag-inspire tayo ng change. Kung nung time na ginawa mo yun, walang opportunity para sa'yo, maaaring ngayon, ito na yung opportunity para mapansin, ito yung suggestion ng research kasi ganito yung nalaman namin. So ito yung dapat gawin ng Congress. Baka kasi ang problema minsan sa mga congressman is, fine, they have good intentions, pero wala naman silang sapat na pagkakaunawa dun sa buhay-buhay ng ordinaryong tao. Pero pag gumagawa tayo ng research, nagpupunta tayo sa mahihirap, nagko-conduct tayo ng FGD doon, mas naiintindihan natin na kaya pala ganito yung problema nila. Kasi ganito, kasi kulang. Kasi hindi natutugunan ng gobyerno. So sana, dito sa PADS, makapag-create pa kayo ng ganong research na alin ba dito yung ugat nung problema? Ano ba yung pwedeng maging solusyon? So, paano nyo ipapackage yun pag finish nyo sa media? First, syempre, sabihin nyo muna, aminin natin, ano yung problema, and then you propose the solution. Malay nyo, matuwa yung media practitioner, maggawan pa siya ng special report or ng documentary. Ginagawa naman to ng madalas ng eyewitness, ng GMA, ng ABS-CBN. So, yun.
Thank you very much. And sundan ko lang yung sinabi kanina, yung kailangan important na yung mga sources ay accessible sa ating sa mga sa ating mga journalists, sa media, And that is why dapat yung mga research natin, mga results, these should be accessible to them. Because if these are not accessible to them, paano sila makakakuha ng information, And at PIDS, we have our website, all our research outputs from 1979 are there. And we have the SERP-P, which contains not only the outputs of PIDS, but also of our partners na nandito ngayon. So important na the information is at the fingertips of our media outlets, Para kung may kailangan sila na, let's say, background material or reference material, then they can easily find it from your websites, from your social media pages. And at PIDS, we have been conducting regular monitoring of our new citations. We see that we have research as far back as, let's say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, nagagamit pa rin nila. Sinasite pa rin nila whenever there's a pressing issue that's relevant to this research, And nagugulat kami, sabi niya, nakakatuwa naman kasi they still find the research useful, So yun, and then going back to what Ms. Pinky said, kailangan alam nating sakyan yung kung ano yung pressing issue of the day at kung paano natin mai-relate yung ating research or yung ating knowledge output dun sa pressing issue na yon. So, yeah, we have to have creativity, nasa diskarte natin yon as knowledge disseminators, as information officers, Yes.
Meron kasi ako naman may tanong. Bawat agency kasi, yung mga beat reporters na nagko-cover nun, meron yung group chat sa Viber. So sa Viber, dun pinapadala yung mga material. Ang tanong ko, ang NEDA kasi meron. Ang PIDS po ba may sariling group chat?
Actually, wala kaming
meron ba?
Gagawin pa lang, pero hindi kami kasama sa anumang group chat ng mga reporters.
Sa akin kasi naisip ko lang, para mas maging research-oriented yung media coverage. Yes, may website tayo. Hindi lang sa PIDS, lahat ng research institution may website yan, na-upload natin yun. Syempre yung mga media naman, hindi naman nila agad naiisip na merong ganun, may website na yun. So, kung meron tayong group chat, for example, yung ginagawa sa ibang beat na doon nagpapadala, ang tendency is, kung kasama yung mga media practitioners doon sa group chat na yun, pag nagsisend kayo doon ng research material, baka baliktad ang mangyari. Imbis na mag-iintay pa sila ng issue para i-cite tong research, isa-storify nila yung research. Para hindi, ang nangyayari tuloy yung content ng ating balita, hindi lang yung puro problema, mas natutugon, mas kumbaga nabibigyan ng more space, more airtime, yung resulta ng research. So again, kailangan nating mas maging strategic para kung gusto nyo mas maging inform yung coverage ng media, yung balita na ibibigay sa inyo.
Thank you for the tip, So that's one tip from Claire. And yeah. and thankfully sa PIDS, even if we're not a member of any group chat, ang ginagawa namin, we simply send our press releases to the media, meron kami talaga mga pinapadalhan na regularly. And then we regularly post the news articles, the press release on our website, then augment it by posting also on social media. Awa naman ng Diyos, lagi kaming nasa balita. Oo, hindi kami nawawalan in a day. Lagi kaming merong, kasi minomonitor namin, meron kami sa PIDS na tinatawag na PIDS in the News. So this is a collection of all news articles in online media and even printed media, no, where PIDS or its research or PIDS researchers or officials or research studies have been cited. No, awa ng Diyos, lagi namang nandoon ang PIDS. So, and I think it also boils down to credibility rin, ano. Yung credibility ng institution, if journalists, media organizations find your organization credible when it comes to knowledge outputs, then they will always make they will always feature your stories such that when there is a pressing issue, they will look to your website, go to your social media, go to the recordings of your events, no? Kasi yung recordings sa public webinars namin, they're easily accessible. Just go to our Facebook page, just go to our YouTube channel. And they will make a story out of those materials, no? So yon, well, it's really a confluence of so many factors, no? But at the end of the day, it boils down to the credibility of the source, no? And the accessibility of the information. Okay. So we have, I think, around last 8 minutes, or yes, 5 minutes according to our timekeeper for questions. Baka meron pa po. Oh yes. Executive Director Nabel Bangsal.
Hello. May question siguro kay Claire. Kasi looking back, yung mga news broadsheets dati, like Inquirer, Manila Standard, especially if you remember during the time of Estrada.
Ang high school po ako na.
Kasi before, they can just pull out advertisers. So, before kasi, more or less, that's the lifeblood of the broadsheets. So now, you have pseudo news outlets, popping out everywhere, which are not reliant anymore on advertising. I mean, different kind of advertising. So, how do you parang police or parang, well, classic example, kunwari, SMNI. Sorry for the example.
Naka-live stream po ito.
Sige po,
Okay.
sir.
I mean, okay. In America, for instance, Fox News. So they pretend to be a news organization, but people know that they are more like opinion kind of organization rather than straight news. But again, all news outlets should be, parang regulated, and of course, there's also ethics involved among yung circle of. So how with all these new developments in media, broadcast, print, and all other digital platforms. So, it's no longer like the old journalist ethics. Very much, something that's well respected and placed among practitioners of journalism. But now it seems that hindi very loose yung very loose. So how do you impose that kind of discipline to practitioners of media, to that account them to that kind of standard? Kasi ito na rin yung pinag-uusapan natin quality credible information. But if you have organizations, you know, especially during elections, who will peddle all this kind of information to different platforms, TikTok, Facebook, etc. So all of these are all information peddlers. Where do you draw the line? How do you draw the line?
Sige, komplikading ni Sir. So unahin, paano sasalain yung, ano ba Sir gusto mong itanong talaga sa akin? Sa dami doon. Okay. Kasi una, nabanggit mo Sir yung sa advertising. Remind mo na lang ako Sir kung meron ako mga hindi nasasagot. Medyo mahaba. So you mentioned kanina yung panahon ni Estrada. So it's a known fact na nung time na yon, syempre, alam naman natin kung sino yung dati natin presidente. So meron siyang mga contacts sa businessmen, sa movie industry. So that time kasi hindi pa ganun ka-develop yung online medium. So malakas pa yung dyaryo. Kasi ang competitor naman talaga ng dyaryo, ang pinatay ng online is yung dyaryo. So nakadependent talaga noon, miski ngayon, sa advertising, ang newspaper. So pinol out yon yung mga kaibigan ng dati nating presidente. Ang sabi nila is may mga nag-pull out ng ad sa Inquirer kasi kumbaga hina-highlight ng Inquirer yung report ng PCIJ na nagkakasino siya, yung mga mansion, yung ganon. So, magtataka kayo, bakit ba ganon? Bakit nai-impluwensyahan ng politiko ang media? Di ba dapat independent yan? Well, I'm sorry. Hindi kasi, kumbaga, hindi natin masasabi na totally independent yung buong industry ng media. Bakit? Kasi ito'y isang negosyo. Kung familiar kayo dun sa parang theory, yung political economy of media, I'm sure na-encounter nyo na yung theory na yon. Actually, parang hindi nga siya theory, parang siya totoo na. Yung mismo kasing business model ng media, naapektuhan siya in many ways ng economic and political factors. Kasi it's a big business. So, kung pag malaking negosyo, syempre subject ka rin sa government regulations. Taxes ka. Pag malaki yung negosyo mo, meron ka ring mga investor. Yung mga investor mo, businessmen din yon. Na meron ding ibang business na pwedeng maapektuhan ng gobyerno o ng ibang corporation. Tapos connected siya sa media. So yun yung problema dun sa model mismo, yung sa industry mismo ng media, kung bakit naapektuhan siya ng economic and political factors. Tapos ano yung tanong mo sir sa panahon ng fake news, paano pa ba nabubuhay ang journalism sa panahon ng information and disinformation? How do we regulate? Una, sinasabihan namin, meron kasing, nasa policy kasi yan, editorial policy. For example, kanina nabanggit ko sa amin sa CNN, meron kaming at least two source policy. So, ibig sabihin, at least two sources, yung reputable sources, yun yung doon ka kukuha ng information, doon mo ibabase yung balita mo. Pwedeng tao, pwede namang document. So, yung isa yun sa mga paraan para ma-ensure namin yung accuracy. Saka disiplina rin. Pangalawa, kung kukuha naman sa social media pages ng information. Ngayon kasi baliktad kung ano yung minsan nagte-trending, kung ano yung pinag-uusapan, yun yung nagiging balita. Dati kasi, nung wala pang social media, kung ano yung nasa dyaryo, yun yung balita. Ngayon, baliktad na yung media ang kumukuha sa yung traditional media ang kumukuha ng balita sa social media. So, kailangan mas maging maingat kami doon. Tinitignan namin, ito bang Facebook page na to? Facebook page ba talaga to ng PIDS? O baka mamaya gawa-gawa lang ito, hindi ng ano. So, sinasabihan din naman yung mga reporters, alam din naman nila kung saan sila titingin. Ngayon, dahil may teachers yata din dito. So, siguro kailangan ding i-remind yung ating educators na bata pa lang, nasa senior high school pa lang or college. Lagi natin silang sasabihan na, kumbaga matuto silang maging selective sa mga information na gagamitin nila. Tumingin lamang doon sa mga website or sa social media pages ng reputable organization. So, kailangan din natin sabihin sa kanila. So, para pag graduate sila, maging journalist man sila or maging consumers ng news, madali nilang, kumbaga hindi sila agad mapaniniwala, madali nilang ma-spot kung ito ba, nilaloko ba sila. Saka, nabanggit din ni Sir yung sa kabilang network. Again natin mabanggitin, yung sa kabilang network. Again, yung sa facts. Babalik tayo sa media literacy. balik tayo sa mga teacher, kina mom and sir. So kung bata pa lang yan, tinuturo na natin sa kanila na, ito yung, kahit hindi sila journalist, ito yung ethical na conversation, ito yung ethical na gawin. Ang tendency ng bata is mas madali niyang madidevelop sa kanya yung critical thinking. So maiisip niya na itong news na to parang kaduda-duda to Parang hindi naman kapanipaniwala yung information. O kaya masyado siyang one-sided. Kumbaga baka parang merong imbis na i-inform ako nito sineshape nito yung opinion ko para meron akong paboran na isang candidate or ng isang business. Yung mga ganon. So at sa amin, sa newsroom, ang ginagawa namin, syempre, yung kung ano sila lang yung reporter namin, sila lang yung researchers namin, kung sino lang yung sakop namin, yun yung natuturuan namin na when it comes to media literacy. Pero siguro ang tip ko rin sa educators, yun nga, sabihin din sa mga bata, i-remind din lagi sa mga estudyante na maging mapanuri, mag-develop yung critical thinking, lalo na ngayon sa panahon ng information and disinformation.
Thank you very much, Claire. So, you have anything to add? Okay, siguro, final question, baka gusto kong ibigay kay Dr. Sia. We all know the importance of developing the analytical skills and the critical thinking skills among the young, beginning in the home, hindi lang sa schools or to the teachers, but beginning in the home. And since information is very accessible nowadays, and with AI, giving people access to a lot of information that is both and sabi mo Dr. C, there are less accurate AI platforms, there are more accurate AI platforms, How can we use AI in building the critical thinking and analytical reasoning skills of people, especially of young minds, given that yung AI itself, pag nag-ano ka sa AI, hanap ka ng information through AI, nandun na lahat which people can easily just accept as the truth, Baka mawala na rin yung critical thinking and analytical reasoning kasi nandyan na baka paniwalaan na lang nila kung ano yung sabihin ng AI. So, how can we navigate this these challenges?
It's a very important question because critical thinking is not something that you can acquire overnight. So there has to be constant practice. And there are methodologies for triangulation of truth. But you also have to contend with the fact of what we call knowledge half-life. And that is that knowledge, the value of knowledge is getting, is having shorter shelf life, meaning what we know now, tomorrow may no longer be true. And it's and the pace is getting really faster, and it can be unsettling to some because if you've graduated from med school, for instance, or from joint school, the things they've been taught that have been taught there would soon be, if not already, passé. So and AI exacerbate the situation because of the knowledge production gets to that level. It's really unprecedented. So this just going to be and the capacity for humans to deal with this information, normative situation is so limited. So we are not wired to knowledge to process tremendous amount of knowledge, and it's going to be worse because, as I said, the shelf life of the value of knowledge gets shorter and shorter. It depends on which field. AI maybe a few weeks, physics a month. So these things that are really the pace is rattling. So how do you deal with that? You will have to get to higher orders of abstraction. What are humans get good at? That is really creativity. That is able to fill in information gaps, able to bring in contextual information. As I said, you will have to be a data jockey, an information jockey, to be able to practice critical thinking, to thrive in an AI-dominated world. You have no choice unless you go back under the rock, which is not an option for us. Now, if you have to be in civilization, you just have to arm yourselves, and that's going to be problematic for people who are not willing to adapt, because jobs will be lost. They are not able to thrive, to function well. They will be handheld by machines, and they have less autonomy. Those who know, who are able to data jockey well, to deal with AI, those who are able to become more evolved in society. Otherwise, it's not good news for the rest.
So we live really in very challenging times. That is why we have to develop those 21st century skills. No? And well, unfortunately, we don't have time left to engage more in this conversation. But and I will not belabor the important points that you mentioned. And I just want to thank the three of you for those the nuggets of wisdom that you shared with us this morning. Maraming salamat. So friends, please join me in thanking them for a very engaging discussion. Maraming salamat, Dr. Peter C. Maraming salamat, Ms. Pinky and Ms. Claire. And hope to see you again in future events of PIDS and SERP-P. So at this point, I now let us go to we just have a very short ceremony wherein we will give our certificates of appreciation and some tokens for our speakers. So let me start with Ms. Pinky. The certificate of appreciation is given to Ms. Pinky Serafica for imparting her invaluable knowledge and expertise as presenter on the topic leveraging digital innovations for research communication during the SERP-P Network Annual Symposium on the theme Trends and Innovations in Knowledge Dissemination, given this 29th day of November 2023 at Richmond Hotel, Ortigas, Pasig City. Signed, Dr. Aniceta C. Orbeta Jr., PIDS President. Ms. Pinky. Okay. And we also have certificate for Miss Mary Claire Mercado, and she imparted with us her presentation on the topic effective media and public relations for research dissemination. Thank you very much again, Ms. Claire. Okay. And of course, last but definitely not the least, Dr. Peter C. Sir, marami pong salamat for sharing with us your insights on trends and innovations on how artificial intelligence can reshape research institutions. Thank you, and hope to see you again, sir. Actually, Dr. C has been with us in the annual public policy conference last September. Asuki, okay. I give back the floor to our MC, Zeki.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila, and to our distinguished speakers. While they're having a photo up here in front, announcement lang po, you can now have your lunch. It's a managed buffet. You can go outside lang po paglabas natin ng, pag-exit lang natin, andun na po yung buffet table. And then, be back by 1:05 for our afternoon session. Maraming salamat po. I remind lang po, mamimigay po kami ng tote bags with leather sleeves laptops, laptop leather sleeves. Balik lang po na, hindi po kami mamimigay ng laptop, sir. Tatawa si Sir Novel. Hindi po kami mamimigay ng laptop. Hindi po laptop sleeves lang po ang may bibigay namin. So, ibalik po natin ang ating survey form sa registration and then bibigyan po kayo. Maraming salamat. And the publications outside is, I think, pwede po kayong kumuha doon from our different parts.